I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez. SpaceX is looking to launch up to 1 million more satellites, and an urgent recall involving a popular snack for infants. We got to get right over to Maribel Aber in today's Money Matters. This is a huge red flag. These cookies, Maribel, could potentially have plastic in them.
Let's talk about it. Lauren, Gerber has announced a voluntary recall for batches of its arrowroot biscuits over concerns they could contain bits of plastic or paper. The safety alert covers 5.5-ounce boxes produced between July and September of last year. They were sold at stores nationwide. Now, no injuries have been reported, but customers are asked to throw away the biscuits or return the product for a refund. Full batch numbers and other details can be found on the FDA's website, Lauren.
Yeah, even if you don't have a little one that may be eating those, you might know somebody that does, so pass this along. All right, let's talk about Elon Musk launching a lot more satellites. We're talking millions, all in the name of AI.
That's what he wants. Elon Musk's SpaceX has asked the FCC for approval to launch up to 1 million solar-powered satellites to support AI data centers. So in its filing, the company describes its vision as the most efficient way to meet the accelerating demand for AI computer power, according to TechCrunch. Now, some industry watchers say approval for 1 million satellites is unlikely, but it could serve as a starting point for negotiations. The FCC recently cleared SpaceX to launch an additional 7,500 Starlink satellites, with authorization for thousands more still pending. The European Space Agency says there are currently around 15,000 satellites orbiting Earth, with pollution and space debris a rising concern.
Wow.
Those are your consumer headlines, so have a great start to the week, Lauren.
I appreciate it, Maribel. Remember, to get the latest money and consumer news anytime, head on over to clickorlando.com.
Have you ever watched for like the satellites to go overhead at night at a certain time of day?
It looks like an alien invasion.
It really does.
It's
really
crazy.
freaky to see it.
Looks like the launches are not going to slow down.
No.
Anytime soon. Hey, still to come, local school district in a little bit of trouble after a dictator shows up on the morning announcements. We're investigating that.
And we have some new insight into a death that happened at Central Florida's newest theme park.
Coming up in the morning, keeping kids safe on e-bikes.
Our largest school district set to maybe create some new rules where parents get to weigh in.
Plus, parts of Central Florida set to dip again below freezing. Candace will have your forecast details every 10 minutes.
Join us for News 6 Mornings, starting at 6.
Keeping an eye off some breaking news in Brevard County, where a part of I-95 still closed. We thought the smoke was clearing up. We've been watching these cameras out there, but man, it's coming in pretty thick again. You can see it almost looks like a wall there right after that truck. Smoke is from a wildfire. It's making it hard to see on the road. Officials, they've closed the highway both directions between State Road 514 and the St. John's Heritage Parkway. We're going to continue to keep an eye on these conditions. As soon as it clears up and you can drive through there again, we'll let you know. Hopefully it happens fairly soon. Welcome back to News 6 at 3 o'clock. Glad to have you with us. A lot going on today.
Yeah, so much going on. You know, Central Florida, it's no secret. We are known as the theme park capital of the world.
Yeah, and this summer, our newest theme park started to get some attention that it did not want, and it all came from a pretty dark situation when a woman died on their ride. Let's bring in News 6 investigator Mike DeForest. So, Mike, I know you've been digging into this case for a while. What have you learned?
Just a quick recap. This was the death of Kevin Rodriguez Zavala, the man who was in the wheelchair who died on the Stardust Racers roller coaster. Right after his death, immediately after, the state of Florida came in, amusement ride inspectors. And I'll get to that in a moment about why that was unusual. But when we first started looking into this, I discovered that the state of Florida did not write any reports about what it observed over at Universal. Didn't take any photos. But here in Florida, text messages are considered public records. So I requested the text messages of these state of Florida amusement ride inspectors, and I'm going to be able to show you a few right now. Let's pull up the first one here. Okay. This was about 90 minutes after Mr. Rodriguez Zavala was found unresponsive on the roller coaster. A manager with the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services sent a text message to amusement ride inspector Mark Gonzalez, the man you see there, and that text said, quote, FYI, death called in on Stardust Racers. Appears to be a cardiac episode. Could be one hell of a day tomorrow. Now, what's noteworthy about this text message is, first of all, it came in literally less than 2 hours after Mr. Zavala's death, 90 minutes. So it shows Universal promptly reported his death to the state. Also, there's the mention of the cardiac arrest. Of course, that was hours before a medical examiner ultimately determined that the roller coaster rider died from blunt impact injuries.
So that was the thing we couldn't really understand.
Correct, and it has since come out that it was possibly in part because of his disability, and he had a broken leg. He was able to come out of the roller coaster restraints and hit his head. We didn't know this at the time, and certainly state officials didn't when they sent those text messages. But nonetheless, the state of Florida says it's going to send an inspector to Universal, and that's a little odd because here in Florida, under the state law, large theme park operators like Universal, Disney, are exempt from state oversight. Those state amusement ride inspectors only go to those traveling fairs, some of the more smaller amusements, kind of like that drop tower where they had the death a few years ago. So this was unusual. Let's show you another text message where a manager with that state agency basically acknowledges saying, I'm not sure if the capital, presumably Tallahassee, will want someone out there. Not something we normally do. But this is a first for this commissioner, so no idea what his intentions will be. Well, the Office of Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson said that Universal actually invited them. And if Universal hadn't invited the state to conduct these inspections, Simpson's office says, well, they would have asked and presumed Universal would have let them. So these are just a couple of the text messages. We have a lot more on our story that's now on clickorlando.com.
Yeah,
interesting.
They had those inspections because a lot of people were concerned that the ride reopened without us getting any answers, but they clearly had the answers they were looking for.
Right now, one thing we still don't get into with these text messages are exactly what those ride inspectors with the state actually witnessed. But we can tell from the text exchange two things. They did agree with what Universal was seeing, was that everything looked okay. And secondly, these texts also show that Universal was very cooperative throughout the process. There wasn't resistance. In fact, Universal was saying, here, we'll show you where to meet and stuff. So that was just some of the glimpses we get from these newly released text messages.
Fascinating to see the back and forth, though, behind the scenes in this. And yeah, like you said, you can see a lot more on his story on clickorlando.com. Mike DeForest.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about a high school student accused of running a picture of Adolf Hitler during the morning announcements, and he says it was a way to try to rally school pride.
Yeah, News 6's Ashley Garrett is looking into this and how the school is taking this very seriously.
Osceola High School confirms to News 6 that, yes, an actual picture of Nazi leader Adolf Hitler did run in the morning announcements Friday. It was a picture like this of Hitler, but with his hand extended, saluting, and with words printed on the screen that said, "Good morning, Cowboys." That is the school's mascot. The words on the pic went on to read, "Today is January 30th. Friday, the school principal used the words "an egregious error" when confirming the pic of Hitler was used. In a statement, Dr. Elizabeth Kennedy says in part, "The moment this was brought to our attention, the image was immediately removed. We want to be absolutely clear. This content does not reflect the values, beliefs, or ideology of Osceola High School." Dr. Kennedy's statement goes on to say a review is underway, adding, "We understand the concern and hurt this may have caused, and we remain committed to fostering a safe, respectful, and inclusive environment for all students and staff." Look, we know parents and others watching may still have some questions surrounding this investigation. One thing that News 6 is working to learn is how exactly was that picture missed, that picture of Adolf Hitler missed by school leaders, working to learn how that happened. We're also working to learn some plans and procedures that are in place when it comes to determining and approving what goes in those morning announcements. We'll continue to stay on top of the story. We have reached out to Dr. Kennedy via her LinkedIn to get some more comment on this investigation. At this time, we are still waiting to hear back, but if and when we do, we'll bring that to you. In Osceola County, Ashley Garrett, News 6.
A strange story for sure. Well, a business is having to close up shop for a few months after a gnarly crash came right through the side of the building. Edgewood police tell us a semi carrying 2 FedEx trailers slammed into Tano's Bakery on South Orange Avenue near Holden Avenue. This was around 3 a.m. on Saturday. The driver was taken to ORMC. We hear they're going to be okay. We followed up with the bakery today. They said they're going to be closed for up to 4 months because this crash did structural damage that really needs to be fixed before any patrons can come in.
That was serious. All right, we are also learning more about efforts to help Central Florida recover from storm damage. Now, FEMA announced more than $480 million in federal funding to support more than 500 disaster recovery projects. The local and state managed projects include $180 million for rebuilding or restoring critical infrastructure, more than $136 million for emergency measures to protect life and property, and more than $66 million for clearing debris from public roads. Nearly $84 million is going toward permanent repairs or replacement of parks and recreational equipment, buildings, docks, facilities, things like that, including a pair of local projects. Now, the city of Sanford is getting $5.7 million for repairs to its marina. The city has been trying to get FEMA to reimburse them for damage done by Hurricane Ian back in 2022, so they're still going back and forth on this one. That marina needed about $20 million in repairs. Last summer, though, the city learned they'd only be getting a portion of that from FEMA. The city commission approved a contract to start the design and permitting work on the new marina in September. And FEMA is sending $4.7 million to Flagler County for beach dune repair. This is all important stuff, and people have been waiting for a while for this. We told you in August, Hurricane Milton in 2024 left the county's northern coastline nearly bare due to storm surge. And the county's coastal engineering team began a $9 million facelift last night and to make the dunes 14 feet tall and much wider to better withstand those storms. So a lot of numbers, a lot of money, but such an important issue for the people who live in those communities.
How does it take so long? How does it take, and sometimes
Red
3.5,
tape,
4 years just to get the money that they need? All right, well, he helped UCF jump into big-time college football conference play. Now he is hanging up his headset after a year at Florida State. Gus Malzahn announced today his retirement is indeed happening. He resigned as the head coach of UCF football in November of 2024. Led the Knights to a 28-24 record over 4 years. Could have been better. He was at the helm of UCF as they made the jump to the Big 12. He left Central Florida to be the offensive coordinator for Florida State last season. Gus Malzahn, always a classy guy, really good head coach. Won a national championship at Auburn. Says he's hanging it up now.
Yeah, we wish him well.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of the Knights, it would have taken a miracle, but we avoided a disaster this weekend. This was on the hardwood. UCF fans stormed the court after beating number 11 Texas Tech on Saturday. Did you happen to catch this? But there's one problem. A UCF player actually committed a foul with 2 with 0.2 seconds left. So all the
Get
fans
off
and
the
students
court.
had to go back to their seats. Good luck with that. So a Texas Tech player could shoot 2 free throws. Then fans were able to storm the court and celebrate the big win. This was UCF's first win in a top 15 ranked conference opponent since January 10th, 2024, when they beat number 3 Kansas. But I can't imagine getting all those butts back in the seat. Look at this.
You have
How
to
do you
give them
tell
credit,
that-
though. I thought it would have lost some of its, power the
No.
second time around, but they came in
That surge
charging hard there. Good win. Huge win for UCF.
Yeah, congratulations. Good
just
job.
got a little too jumpy at the
Little-
end there.
just
0.2 seconds left.
calm down.
All right. Well, law enforcement these days has to deal with a lot. We see that on a daily basis. But in this next case, it was a break-in by wildlife that took place. And I want to tell you, this was Friday
my
night when
goodness.
this was posted. Orange County deputies called to a home after a family said this deer came crashing through their living room window. This was before the teeth of the cold came through. I was wondering, was this after
Yeah.
the cold
Just let
came?
me
Was this
in.
thing just trying to get in there? No. But sure enough, deputies found the deer in the kitchen, struggling to stand on the floor. You can see it just freaking out here.
legs.
They were able to calm the animal, guide it to the backyard, and then it ran back into the woods to safety. Deer and tile floors do not mix.
They don't.
Oh,
They're
and
poor
windows
things,
as
but-
well.
Yeah, exactly. They tend to crash through those. We're glad he got back out there to safety, though. Well, it was a winter wonderland at a Central Florida farm this weekend. Look at this. One of our editors took these photos and videos from Tom West Blueberries. This is an Ocoee. What is under there? Look at that.
Apparently blueberries.
You can't tell. A number of farms sprayed their crops with water to freeze them and protect them from this intense cold. An added bonus, though, officials say freezing the fruit actually improves the taste. It's supposed to make them taste even sweeter. So we're expecting some good crops this season.
Very sweet crops,
Yeah.
yes. Delicate process, though. I was reading about some of the farmers who have to time this just right. You don't
Just
want to
right.
put too much ice on
Too
there.
soon,
You
yeah.
can't have not enough, so you've got to be a real
to me,
pro.
to the untrained eye, this looks like it didn't work, but that's exactly what's supposed to
That
happen.
looks like the opposite of what you want, but apparently that's what you're supposed
Yeah,
to do.
exactly.
And speaking of that Florida freeze, we're taking another look at the forecast coming up right after this break.
Plus, what's going on at another farm that saw a lot of impacts from the weather?
Monday evening traffic alert. The cold does not stop construction, so please make sure you're paying attention overnight up in Volusia. I-95 north and southbound, you'll see some road work happening by US 92. Follow the detours if you need to exit there. And then I-4 east and westbound out by the attractions, Turnpike and State Road 528, that area. And then you will see a closure overnight northbound Florida Turnpike at the 242. That puts you at US 192. Everyone will be required to exit there. Just follow the detour and they'll get you back on. I'm Trooper Steve with your News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
It is a sign of the season. Those are real iguanas, and apparently they're still alive. Iguana experts in South Florida spent the day collecting these frozen reptiles yesterday. They just pass out. They're like a little poodle or something, just laying on their back. They look like, in case you're new to Florida, iguanas go into a state of shock, falling from trees when the temperatures get too low. They're cold-blooded. They're too cold-blooded when this happens. The iguanas will be turned over to FWC since they're an invasive species. They're going to either be put down after this or sent to licensed permit holders out of state. But they have really taken over South Florida, so it's a nice, easy time to go grab them. And now they have buckets full of iguanas if you're interested.
You know, I always love when these advisories are sent out, like if you bring one in your house, be aware that when it wakes up, it'll be aggressive. And it's like, that's not my first instinct to bring it in my house.
Let's get this thing in here and warm it up a little bit.
But when they wake up, they're a little confused, apparently.
And angry, yes. They will bite you, that's for sure.
Yeah, the cold has that effect on some of us, right? We did see another day where a lot of us were in the 20s to start things out, and still pretty chilly out there. You'll notice our graphics are red. We have designated it another weather alert night because, again, some spots will fall below freezing. Right now over downtown Orlando, 53 degrees. That is 20 degrees cooler than where we should be this time of year, and just about all of us are in the 50s. But here's how we started today. Ocala woke up to 20 degrees, 21 in the Villages, 28 in Orlando. And so we set new records just about everywhere except for in Leesburg. So we haven't been this cold in a long time. This is some of the coldest air we've seen in about 16 years. And again, tonight we do have freeze warnings posted. So if you've taken any precautions with your pipes or your plants, just go ahead and leave all that out maybe for one more night. If you're in some of our northern interior spots, not a bad idea to have that slow drizzle. Did you let your faucets run last night?
I did. I let them run. I opened them up.
Yes.
Did the whole thing. And I kept my pool pump running as well,
Smart.
which apparently we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think that this is the first time in 25 years in Orlando that I've actually let my faucets run overnight. But, you know, good news. All the water worked this morning.
So when am I going to be able to feel my hands again?
So we're seeing a slow warm up. So 34 overnight tonight in Orlando, back up to 63 tomorrow. Notice Wednesday we go into the 70s, but that chance of rain Wednesday into Thursday. That's another front. So Friday, again, we wake up in the 30s, but by the weekend, we start to warm it back up into the 70s. So this has been a little bit of a rough run for us if you don't love the cold.
Right, and we do not see 80s in the near future either, which is kind of weird. So that app will help people keep track of everything, right?
Absolutely. You can track all the advisories where you are and all the big changes. Just search WKMG in your app store. And of course, effects of this intense cold being felt across much of Central Florida, including at UCF.
Yeah, we have seen some flooded doorways and dorms and evacuations taking place at UCF. UCF says many of these problems are getting fixed, but your community correspondent, Jarrell Baker, is taking a look at it.
What's the last thing that students wanted to happen, or anybody wanted to happen, rather, to have to be outside in the cold because of a situation like that? But if you look across the street here, you can see students are going back inside those dorms, and also repairs are underway. Several UCF students forced to evacuate their dorms this weekend because of this.
Completely flooded.
Water soaking the floors of several dorms. The university says that the problem impacted towers 1, 3, and 4, caused by a malfunction in hallway air conditioning units that recycled freezing outdoor air.
I guess whatever busted was right outside of our rooms in that hallway, because the flooding in the hallway was worst of all. It was like 2 inches of water. But just those 4 rooms.
Freshman Blake Ternaski now back home in Orlando, about 40 minutes away from campus because of the flooding in his room, one of the 4 impacted on his floor in Tower 3.
And so my roommate, who's still there, went to go do that, and he said there's a 50-50 chance on whether we can stay the night or not. Every other room is fine to go back in. It's just those 4, so.
The university followed up to say before 4 p.m. that repairs are underway and all of the buildings are reopened. UCF also says they do not expect any further disruptions to essential utilities, and staff will be continued to monitoring conditions. Now, officials say that they'll work one-on-one with students whose dorms were impacted, and they'll also help them find temporary housing and also work with their class schedules until they get everything resolved if need be. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jarrell Baker.
So we've been having to deal with complications we're not used to in our homes, in our businesses. But imagine if your business were outdoors, the problems this would cause.
Yeah, I can't imagine. But that is exactly what farmers who make a living growing things outside, that's what they're facing during this weather.
Yeah, News 6's Jana Manhalal went to one farm. She joins us now where they are still trying to recover from this weekend and just begin the process of assessing any damage. Jana, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, guys, I mean, look behind me. This isn't what you typically see when you see an orange grove. It's covered in ice. Now, compared to the last 2 days, this is pretty thawed out right now. I mean, we've got a few leftover ice just because of that somewhat cold temperatures. But again, these plants aren't used to that freezing, then thawing, then freezing, then thawing. I mean, we saw one tree here that was just, unfortunately, completely snapped because of how heavy the ice got. But it's been pretty okay from what the farmers tell us, besides a few trees kind of snapping like this because of the weight of the ice getting so heavy.
Yes, so Jana, I mean, we saw that one tree there. Are you seeing a lot of trees that are leaned over because of the ice or the wind out there?
I mean, a lot of the trees, if they are leaning, they're not completely snapped. This one's just got so bad because of how heavy the ice was, but some of the trees that are leaning, I mean, they're further down and they're a lot smaller than these more sturdier trees that you've got like right over here, but they're doing pretty okay.
So, Jana, what do the teams wait on now? Are they going to chip those trees free? Or are they going to wait for it to melt naturally? Like, what's the next step in the process?
I mean, Matt, that's what I asked Tara. She's one of the co-owners here at Showcase of Citrus in Claremont. I asked her, I said, you know, what do? You just chop them off, call it a day? And she's like, no. They really have to wait for all of this ice and, you know, snow, not real snow, but, you know, ice to really truly melt down over the next few days, maybe a week, to fully assess that damage and, you know, kind of process, okay, which oranges are fine, which ones are not. She told me because, like, some of these oranges were encased in the ice earlier today. If they're squishy, like you can see here somewhat, the oranges and the fruit are completely okay. But if they're rock solid, that means they didn't get the irrigation and the water on top to encase them. So those ones are not going to be good. But again, they're just waiting for that ice to thaw out.
Nature has to do its thing.
Farmers and homeowners are going to be assessing the damage for the next couple of weeks. Jana, thank you. All right, even though this weather has not been ideal, some Central Florida athletes could not wait to get outside and get on their new field.
Yeah, we're looking at their brand new diamond and how they got there.
It's a softball field unlike any other. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, and this field is brand new. It's been in the works for multiple years, and it serves a greater purpose than just being a field.
The field itself, the field before this field was 20 years old, and it was on its last legs 6 years ago. And we had a time standpoint there where if we didn't change the field out, we were going to have to disband the league.
For years, this field at Trotters Park was the heart of the Central Florida Miracle League, a place where children and adults with disabilities could play baseball. But behind the smiles, the field itself was falling apart.
If we were walking through this about 2 months ago, you would be amazed at how poor the field was. The field did not drain, so it was always flooded. It had big chunks out of it. It's hard to get wheelchairs across it. It became an issue where it was a safety issue.
And the league was at risk of losing the entire field. This is the same field News 6 first showed you when former News 6 anchor Justin Wormuth revealed just how unsafe conditions had become and how close the Miracle League was to shutting down for good. That story sparked a wave of attention, urgency, and community support.
Trying to help community is a big goal of mine, and called up my business partner at the time, Matt Steinberg, and I said they need $80,000. Like, instead of doing this in pieces, let's just get it going so they can get this right away.
One donor quickly became many, with contributions ranging from $5 to tens of thousands, all coming together to save a league built for some of Central Florida's most vulnerable athletes.
Let's go!
A change designed not just for play, but for safety, to allow all to play.
Seeing this now, and everyone's like, this is terrific, but seeing what it was and to what it is now is just amazing.
And for special needs players like Jake Jennings, this is a big upgrade.
I like it. Like it better than the previous field.
But the work isn't finished.
Now the field is important, but our next project is accessible bathrooms,
right,
which we don't have. So we're raising funds as we talk right now, raising funds for accessible bathrooms, for wheelchairs and so forth.
Accessibility has to extend beyond the field itself.
Everyone deserves to play baseball, whether you're in a wheelchair, whatever ailment you have, everybody deserves to play baseball.
In Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
Love seeing
So glad
that.
to see that because it was in such disrepair not too long ago, and they deserve that.
They
So,
really need it. Yeah, for sure. We're getting ready for News 6 at 4 o'clock. We'll have a full check on your forecast and, of course, getting ready for another weather alert tonight.
Yeah, we're also going to take another live look at I-95 where a brush fire has closed down part of the interstate right now. News 6 at 4 starts now.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
Now on News 6 at 4, we're following the work being done to reopen a Groveland road closed because of a road depression.
I'm meteorologist Julie Broughton tracking one more night of freeze warnings when we'll be back in the 70s in minutes.
This is News 6 at 4. We saw some of the coldest weather in years over the weekend.
So we want to get right over to meteorologist Julie Broughton with a check on your forecast and what we can expect in the coming days. We're all ready for a little bit of a warm-up, Julie.
Yeah, and we're already seeing that. We're already a little bit warmer this afternoon than we were yesterday at this time. This morning, a lot of us started out in the 20s. And again, we have a freeze warning posted for tonight for all of our counties. That's up from 11 o'clock tonight until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, because these are the temperatures we're expecting. 34 if you're low in Orlando. You'll drop to 27 in Ocala. If you're in the Villages, you'll wake up to 30 tomorrow, 32 in Leesburg, and 28 in Palm Coast. Here's where we were today. Again, the average low this time of year is 51. You started the day at 20 in Ocala, 21 in the Villages, 28 in Orlando, and it was 24 this morning in Melbourne. Now, here's how it's looking for us right now. This is our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera over downtown Orlando. So much sunshine, that sunshine not doing a whole lot for the temperatures though. Now remember, the normal high this time of year is 73. We are still sitting at 53 in Orlando. If you're in Kissimmee, you're at 54, 57 right now in Titusville, and 55 in Wildwood. Now we will see a chance of rain in the forecast later this week, and also the return of the 70s as we head toward the weekend. I'll break all of that down for you hour by hour coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Julie, thank you. We have a full guide guide on how to deal with this extended cold weather. All you have to do is head to clickorlando.com/freeze guide. It will have ways to protect your plants, pets, and pipes, along with other tips. Again, that's at clickorlando.com/freeze guide.
To breaking news now, a hole is opening up under a Lake County road, and it is getting bigger by the minute.
News 6's Catherine Silver is live at the scene for us on Empire Church Road in Groveland. So, Catherine, what can you see from your vantage point right now?
Well, right now we are about just as close as you can get while still keeping a safe distance. I'm standing right on Empire Church Road, and the depression is just beyond these barricades that are behind me. Now, in the last half hour, we did take some video with our drone that we want to show you. This is the best view, and this video is brand new. Take a look at how this road has buckled. Lake County estimates the depression is about 90 feet wide, 200 feet long, and 50 feet deep. They're concerned that it is growing, which is why they've closed off so much of Empire Church Road this afternoon. There are barricades up just past Anderson and at Empire Church in Mariota on the other side. People who live in this area first reported the damage early this morning, and the county got crews out here right away to start assessing the damage. Back here live, you can see that work is continuing this afternoon. The county has a geotechnical analysis underway, and they say that will determine if this is, in fact, a sinkhole. Their priority is finding out what happened, finding a solution, and getting this road as soon as possible. People who live here, we've spoken to a few of them this afternoon. They tell me they hope that they get it back open sooner rather than later. Depending on where they live on Empire Church, they say the detour can add about 30 minutes to their drive. I'm live in Lake County. Catherine Silver, News 6.
Catherine, thank you. We also have breaking news in Brevard County. Northbound lanes of I-95 near St. John's Heritage Parkway and Malabar Road just reopened.
It was closed because of a large brush fire blowing smoke onto the road. As you take a look now on your screen, this is a live look at I-95. You can see the heavy smoke taking over much of the interstate there. Now, this is the same area that was impacted by a wildfire yesterday. Your Brevard County community correspondent James Barbero spoke with a neighbor who had to deal with this about 24 hours ago.
Did anyone tell you how the fire started?
Nobody said anything about it. Everybody was confusing, because nobody was coming about it. I asked the police, and they say, no, we're not here to tell you what's going on. Just, you need to evacuate. You see what the situation. And I said, okay. And I say, I have my wife and my son here, and my...
Okay, again, so the northbound lanes just reopened, but the southbound lanes are still closed. Just to give you an idea of how large this closure is, here's a map of I-95. That red line is the area we're talking about. It really takes up a pretty large area, so this is likely going to have a big impact on traffic in that area. Again, those northbound lanes just reopened, but those southbound lanes are blocked. We'll continue to follow this story for you on air and give you updates on clickorlando.com. It is the mark of change. Pulse nightclub is set to have a fence go up around it to start the construction of a permanent memorial.
It was back in 2016 when 49 people were killed in that horrific mass shooting. Your Orange County community correspondent Tylisa Hampton joins us now live from the site. And Tylisa, that fence could go up around that site any moment now.
That's exactly right, Ginger. As you can tell right now, there is no fence yet. However, we did see a large group of people scouting around this site, even going inside what appeared to be construction maps and a little bit of tools, appearing to map out where this fence could go. And obviously with this change, it brought some people out to pay their respects. What brought you out here?
We have people that I know that work with us, and they were here too.
10 years after the deadly mass shooting at Pulse nightclub that killed 49 people, the site has been wrapped with heartbreaking pictures, flags, and memories for many. Emotionally, when you do look at it, how do you feel?
I feel good to see it because I know it's something to remember.
But like the posters that were once hung here, a change is on the horizon. The city of Orlando is preparing to install construction fencing for a permanent memorial, as we saw a large group, some getting out of a construction truck, walk around the site.
It's not going to look the same until they finish it then.
Before this fence goes up around Post nightclub, really marking the start of construction for this permanent memorial, you'll notice these empty spaces right here. These were where handmade posters were made for some of those victims. We saw someone come by, take those down. Others came by, taking a look at this before it changes. Are you anxious about how it's going to look next?
Well, I would rather it stay like this.
With demolition set to start in mid-March, several hope this sacred ground will be honored correctly.
If they're going to break it down and have something that people come and see, that's perfect. Like I'm right now, I come a lot of times to come and see it.
And again, we know that demolition is scheduled to begin sometime in mid-March. And as for early March, we also know that the city of Orlando will be holding a meeting to the public to inform them on some of those construction details. We'll make sure to keep you updated on that. Reporting in Orange County, I'm News 6's Tylisa Hampton. Back to you.
Tylisa, thank you. Several fires across Central Florida this morning. One was at an abandoned hotel in Osceola County. The complex is off US 192 and Safari Trail. Osceola County Fire Rescue says the call came in around 5 this morning. They say the fire was in a laundry facility. Firefighters say 50% of the structure was engulfed. No one was hurt. Another fire at an apartment in Seminole County. It happened early this morning at the Sapphire Winter Park Apartments. That's off Howell Branch Road, not far from State Road 436. We're told 3 people had to go to the hospital for smoke inhalation. They're all expected to be okay. More than a dozen people were displaced. And just a short time later, crews in Orange County rushed to the scene of a house fire in Pine Hills. This one caused heavy damage to a home on Strasburg Court. So far, there is no word on injuries or a cause.
The U.S. government is in a partial shutdown. Here's a live look at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Hours before Friday's deadline, the Senate reached an agreement on a funding bill. The House is expected to vote on the funding package sometime tomorrow. The legislation will fund most government agencies through much of the year except for the Department of Homeland Security, which will only get funded for 2 weeks while lawmakers work to reform the department's immigration operations. Now here at home and happening tonight, a city-owned golf course is under the microscope in Oviedo. Leaders are set to vote on a full audit of Twin Rivers Golf Club in about 2 hours. The city bought the course in 2017 to stop development. Since then, homeowners have been paying for it through higher stormwater fees. Now questions about management and oversight are driving calls for a deeper financial review. Your Oviedo community correspondent Mark Lehman spoke with Mayor Megan Sladick last month about who is responsible for watching all of this.
The intention was to preserve it forever. So we want to have a conversation about, is it time to go ahead and take the building rights officially off of that land?
If approved tonight, the audit would dig into the course's management and finances. City leaders are meeting at 6:30. We'll bring you updates on air and online. It may be cold here in Florida, but things are heating up this week ahead of the big game.
Coming up, we're breaking down everything you need to know ahead of the Super Bowl in California on Sunday.
And coming up, how one Florida citrus farm is handling the freezing temperatures for their fruits.
You're watching News 6 at 4 as we take a live look at our camera in Daytona Beach. Looks nice out there. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
Well, after several freezing nights across Central Florida, citrus farmers are now assessing the damage. Last weekend and last week, we showed you how growers prepared running irrigation systems overnight to protect their trees.
Now the big question, what survived? News 6's Jana Manahalal is live in Claremont. Jana, what are you seeing?
Look, guys, this entire orange grove is covered in ice. It was worse this morning, but obviously as those temperatures picked up, it's starting to thaw out. But I mean, it froze the trees, it froze the flowers, it froze the actual fruit. And the biggest thing and the newest thing for farmers here at Showcase of Citrus in Claremont is the fact of this back and forth, freezing temperatures, thawing during the day, freezing temperatures, thawing during the day, and maybe even possibly again tonight. Ice-covered citrus trees are a rare sighting in Central Florida. At Showcase of Citrus in Claremont, co-owner Tara Boschel walked us through the groves after days of freezing temperatures and heavy winds.
This poor tree here, it split due to the weight of the ice. This tree probably will not live at all.
Farmers ran irrigation systems overnight to insulate the trees, keeping them at about 32 degrees. But it's not all bad. How many of these trees do you have that are like this now because of those heavy winds?
There are a few, less than I actually expected.
That's good.
Because, I mean, if you look, even if we come over here, this tree, there's 100 pounds of ice probably built up over there. But this tree happened to be stronger.
So it's not only the fruit that they wanted to have freeze over, it's also the plant in which the fruit comes from. This flower right here, you can see here, parts of it still frozen over from those few nights of freezing cold temperatures. But the ones that are damaged have the biggest impact.
Because of the 12 to 15 hour consistent freezing temperatures, these blossoms probably won't make it. Therefore, less fruit.
Boschel says protecting the trunk was critical.
We want to protect the tree trunk. Just like humans, we can get frostbite on our arms and legs and still survive. But if your core freezes, you're not going to make it.
The uncertainty is the hardest part.
Nerve-wracking because you just don't know the outcome. We can only control so much. Mother Nature ultimately has the final say-so.
Look, what you're seeing here is that actual ice that had formed over, literally thawing right in front of your eyes. But for now, what the citrus farmers have to do next is wait for these big chunks of ice like this one to fully thaw out and melt down so they can, assess the amount of damage that they have moving forward. For now, live in Claremont, I'm Jada Manahalal, News 6.
Yeah, I got to tell you, farming like that is not for the weak because you don't know what to expect.
All right, we want to check in now with meteorologist Julie Broughton. And, we're all kind of over this freezing weather that we've been dealing with. So many of my plants are so dead right now.
They're black.
They really are.
They've been going through it.
So sad.
Yes.
So we have one more cold night. We have designated tonight with weather alert criteria. We have freeze warnings posted area wide again tonight, as well as cold weather advisories, which means we will wake up tomorrow morning feeling like the teens just about everywhere. Now for the rest of the week, it's kind of a little bit of a variety pack. We'll be back in the 70s by Wednesday, but we're watching for a front that will move in and move through late Wednesday into early Thursday. That brings with it some chance of rain as well as a quick cool down. So by Friday morning, we're back in the 30s, but then we warm up again by the weekend. Now here's a look at what we can expect as far as freeze and frost overnight tonight. Again, we have those freeze warnings posted area wide. All of us dealing with the potential of some frost. And then where you see some of the light blue showing up across areas like Marion County into Sumter County, that's where we could again see a hard freeze with temperatures below 28 degrees for a couple of hours. So again, you want to leave all of those preparations in place with your plants, your pipes, one more night before I think things begin to improve for us as we head through the rest of our week. Overnight tonight, we'll go down to 32 in Sanford, 34 in Orlando. Ocala, you'll fall to 27 and 28 in Palm Coast. Here's how it will feel tomorrow morning as you're heading out to work and the kids are heading out to school. It will feel like the teens for some of us, including 14 in Ocala. It will feel like 14 in Palm Coast, and it will feel like 20 in Sanford. Here's how we're doing right now. This is our Daytona Beach sky cam. I have seen some folks out walking on the beach. A beautiful looking day, at least. 53 degrees right now. Our winds are coming in out of the northeast at 6 miles per hour. If you're in DeLand, you're at 54. It is 53 in Palm Coast, Miko checking in at 54 and 57 in the Villages. Our 24-hour temperature change is a nice trend if you are hoping to see a warm up. On average, we're anywhere from around 8 to 12 degrees warmer than we were yesterday at this time. So certainly it is a nicer feeling day. Now, here's your hour-by-hour forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Renewal by Anderson.
Okay, so here's our friend Louise again. You may recall she likes her mom to heat her towels in the dryer, and she also enjoys the fire. She lives in Ocala, so she's got to keep that fire going for at least one more night. 46 degrees at 7 o'clock and 43 degrees at 8 o'clock. Here's the southeastern United States. High pressure over the Gulf, that clockwise circulation bringing our winds out of the north, also bringing us all that blue sky. Water vapor imagery showing us that orange in place, indicating we have a very dry air mass. And of course, we've been dealing with brush fires in some spots, including in southern Brevard County, where our radar a little bit earlier was picking up. You see that smoke plume, not quite as much right now, but we have been picking up that plume on radar. Here's a look at the clouds and rain forecast. I want to jump ahead to the middle part of the week when we talked about that front that's headed our way. This is Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Notice we'll see some clouds, some showers across our northern areas. Then that front begins to move through during the evening hours and overnight hours. So when you wake up Thursday morning, especially in southern Brevard County, you could still be dealing with some showers for that drive to work and school. And this will bring us a brief cool down where we wake up in the 30s on Friday, but then we will rebound from that. Here's how that looks for your 7-day forecast. Again, weather alert criteria tonight and tomorrow morning. 34 in Orlando tomorrow morning. We warm into the 60s. 72 for your high on Wednesday with rain chances late Wednesday into early Thursday at 40%. 38 Friday morning, but look at that. Once we get through that, we're talking about low 70s through the weekend and into next week.
All right, Julie, thank you. An incredible scene out of Edgewater as a FedEx truck smashes into a storefront. Coming up at 4:35, we're taking a look at how long this bakery will be closed after this crash. As we take a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope cam. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Light Orlando.
Breaking news right now, the Florida Supreme Court will hear arguments about whether constitutional amendments can be put on the ballot, including the one involving recreational marijuana.
It comes after the state said this proposed citizens amendment, along with 21 others, did not get the required number of signatures before last night's deadline. News 6 investigator Erica Bragulio is following these breaking developments. She is live in the newsroom. Erica, this is some breaking news.
In just the last few minutes, the Florida Supreme Court said it will hear arguments in this case. The Attorney General must respond to it by tomorrow morning, with arguments scheduled for this Thursday, February 5th. Now, just hours ago, the group behind the push to legalize recreational marijuana in Florida claims it does have enough signatures to get the amendment on the ballot in November. The marijuana petition needed 880,000 signatures for the measure to be on the 2026 ballot. But according to the state website, the group fell short, submitting more than 780,000 signatures. Now, a spokesperson for the group behind this amendment, Smart and Safe Florida, tells me the state's declaration is, quote, premature. In a statement to News 6, a spokesperson says the final and complete county-by-county totals for validated petitions are not yet reported. He says the group submitted more than 1 million signatures, and it believes when they are all counted, it will have more than enough to make the ballot. Now, Florida's Attorney General is investigating claims this petition has fraudulent signatures. Just hours ago, he said this investigation is far from over.
We're looking at a lot of fraudulent signatures. I know that, hundreds of thousands, were being verified as false signatures. People were calling in saying, that's not my signature, I didn't submit it. I think this highlights the danger of these petition gathering processes, things going on the ballot where, you have fraud in the election system.
Now, it is important to note, back in July, a new law took effect in Florida, adding more regulations for these ballot petitions, requiring signature gatherers to be registered with the state and to go through training. I asked Smart and Safe Florida its response to the state's criminal investigation. A spokesperson says it reported those signatures and the signature gatherers it suspected of submitting fraudulent signatures, and that it is committed to ensuring the process is done correctly. Now, back to that breaking news from the Florida Supreme Court. Florida's Attorney General previously asked the Supreme Court for an opinion about the marijuana amendment. Now the Supreme Court wants to know whether it needs to even give an opinion, because these amendments will supposedly not be on the ballot. Again, the Florida Attorney General must respond to the Supreme Court by tomorrow morning. A lot happening in this case, ladies. We will keep you posted.
All right, Erica. Yeah, a lot happening and a lot of interest in what happens with these amendments. Erica, thank you. Coming up at News 6 at 4:30, we're following breaking news in Brevard County. Another look at I-95 as a brush fire has closed down part of the interstate. We'll have another update for you coming up next. Plus,
a man died after riding a roller coaster here at Epic Universe last fall. Now I've exclusively obtained text messages between state amusement ride inspectors. Coming up, I'll show you what those state inspectors were discussing behind the scenes.
And as we head to break, a live look now. This is over Port Canaveral. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We are following several top stories right now. In Lake County, a road collapse is under investigation, forcing officials to close a portion of Church Empire Road in Groveland. Officials say it is 200 feet long, 90 feet wide, and 50 feet deep right now. They say the road is closed from Bear Lake Road to Edge Hill Drive.
The city of Orlando is preparing to install construction fencing at Pulse nightclub. The rainbow-colored tribute, which has become a symbol of both tragedy and resilience, will soon disappear. Demolition is set for March for a permanent memorial.
After several freezing nights across Central Florida, citrus farmers are now assessing the damage. Farmers at Showcase of Citrus in Claremont say this snap has led to their crops freezing, then thawing, then freezing, then thawing again. Farmers have to wait for the ice to fully melt to fully assess the damage.
We are uncovering exclusive new details about a roller coaster death investigation at Universal Orlando. News 6 has obtained text messages between state amusement ride inspectors who responded to the Stardust Racer roller coaster last summer. Investigator Mike DeForest reveals what they discussed behind the scenes.
I first reported when state amusement ride inspectors descended on Epic Universe here after a man's death. They did not write any reports detailing their findings. But I discovered they did send each other text messages, in some cases on their personal devices. Here in Florida, those text messages are public records, so I requested them.
Well, it was called in as a head laceration.
About 90 minutes after Kevin Rodriguez Zavala was found unresponsive on a Universal Orlando roller coaster in September, an employee of the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services sent a text message to State Amusement Ride Inspector Mark Gonzalez. FYI, death called in on Stardust Racer. Appears to be a cardiac episode. Could be one hell of a day tomorrow. Okay, I volunteer to go out there if needed, replied Gonzalez. Under Florida law, large theme park operators like Universal and Disney are exempt from state oversight, something Gonzalez's boss seemed to acknowledge. I'm not sure if the Capitol will want someone out there, not something we normally do. But this is the first for this commissioner, so no idea what his intentions will be.
Where a person is injured should not determine how the state responds.
A spokesperson for Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson tells me Universal voluntarily invited the state to observe testing, and if the company had not, Simpson's office says it would have asked. In this text, a Universal employee tells Gonzalez, "Hey Mark, if you'd like to meet us over at Stardust tomorrow at 10 a.m., that's when we will get started with our third party." Text messages obtained by News 6 do not detail exactly what state inspectors did at Universal, but 2 days after the roller coaster rider's death, Gonzalez told his boss their data review was all within parameters.
He was right up in the front seats.
Attorney Benjamin Crump incorrectly told the public that Rodriguez Zavala and his girlfriend rode in the front. Listening to the press conference, was he in the front seat? A state supervisor asked. Front seat of the fifth carrier, replied Gonzalez. He is wrong. He is obviously talking without having seen the video or spoken with the girlfriend. Rodriguez Zavala was born with spinal atrophy and used a wheelchair. Law enforcement later determined his legs were broken, which likely allowed Rodriguez Zavala to slip out of the roller coaster's lap restraint and fatally strike his head. Universal Orlando concluded that the Stardust Racer's roller coaster functioned as intended. Although not detailed in text messages, state ride inspectors concurred with Universal's findings. Mike DeForest, News 6.
We're following breaking news right now. I-95 is still closed in Brevard County.
This is happening near State Road 514 and St. John's Heritage Parkway due to a brush fire. News 6's Alex Cook is now live on the scene with an update for us. Alex?
Yes, the good news is just a couple minutes ago, Florida Highway Patrol opened the northbound lanes heading back up 95. But as you can see, the southbound lanes are still completely closed. We exited at exit 173, and it took probably about a half hour for us just to get off the road there. So if you're traveling southbound on I-95, it's a good idea to avoid that area at this time. We haven't seen any smoke from the fire out here at the time, so hopefully that means that they're in the process of being able to open those southbound lanes as well. But for now, it's best just to avoid the area because it's backed up for miles trying to get to 173. That's Malabar Road here in Palm Bay. But we'll be here with updates. Hopefully we'll be reporting soon that this lane's open, but we'll be out here live in Palm Bay. Alex Cook, News 6.
All right, let's hope so. We'll continue to check in with you, Alex. Thank you. We're now learning more details about a crash that led to the closure of a business in Edgewood. This happened early Saturday morning near Holden and Orange Avenues. Take a look. Edgewood police say a semi-tractor pulling double trailers veered onto the sidewalk and into Tano's Bakery at the Water's Edge Shopping Center. Police say the driver was taken to the hospital and is expected to recover. We went out there today to get a good look at the damage that's left behind. You can see what looks like a giant hole in this side of the building there. The bakery telling News 6 it could be closed for up to 4 months. We're following up with police to try and learn more about this situation. We'll update you on air and online at clickorlando.com. A conclusion today for the case of the teacher and a principal arrested after a teenage house party got out of control. The teacher was sentenced last year.
Yeah, today your Cocoa Beach community correspondent James Barbero saw the former principal of an elementary school receive her sentence as well. And like the teacher, she will not be going back to jail.
How does it feel not to be going back to jail, Elizabeth? This former principal just got put on probation for letting her teenage sons throw a house party with 100 other teens.
Elizabeth Jolyn Hill Brodigan.
The state attorney's office told me 2 weeks ago when Elizabeth Hill Brodigan's sentencing hearing started that time behind bars would not be part of the former Roosevelt Elementary principal's plea bargain. Monday, when sentencing was official, I asked prosecutor Julia Lynch, why not? Julia, why weren't you seeking jail time?
I don't think this was a type of case at this juncture that required it. I think that what we got resolved with a plea addresses the needs of the community, and it takes care of a problem that got out of control.
I was here hanging out at this party. I mean, what the f***?
Former Roosevelt teacher Carly Anderson was also put on probation after the party. Anderson got 1 year of probation. Brodigan gets 2 under conditions like
There are to be no house parties at your home or gatherings where alcohol and/or marijuana is being possessed or used.
And like after court now, the ex-principal didn't answer any of my questions at her January 20th court appearance either.
Do you ever want to teach again? Be a principal again?
The state dropped the felony charge Brodigan was facing, child neglect. That could have carried a prison sentence. The state also said some teens at the party were asked to come and testify in court, but they chose not to. In Brevard County, I'm your Cocoa Beach community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
The 5-year-old Minnesota boy taken with his dad to a Texas detention facility is back home. It comes as demonstrators in Minneapolis are calling for Target's new boss to take a stance against the federal immigration agents operating in the Twin Cities. CBS's Omar Villafranca is there with the latest.
Michael Fidelke spent his first day on the job as Target's new CEO at a North Texas store, rather than at the company's Minneapolis headquarters.
Target, we thought we told you, ICE out of Minnesota.
Where demonstrators called on Fidelke to use his new power to speak out against the Trump administration's immigration enforcement actions.
We are asking you, Michael Fidelke, to be brave with us, to stand up and say that what ICE is doing is not right.
Businesses here in the Twin Cities say they've been hurt since Operation Metro Surge started 2 months ago, saying workers and customers are afraid that they'll be picked up by federal agents. With the front door reinforced and the blinds closed, this Minneapolis family stays hidden inside this home.
Es inhumano.
The couple from Mexico did not want to be identified. They've been going through the visa application process for 3 years and say having work permits won't stop them from being detained. 5-year-old Liam Ramos and his dad are back home after a judge ordered them to be released from a detainment facility in Texas.
So while we have really good news and a ray of light that, we have some family members coming back, ICE is still here this morning.
The Trump administration plans to appeal, claiming the father entered the country illegally. But according to the family's lawyers, he has a pending asylum claim. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Minneapolis.
It was a rough weekend for some UCF students. Flooded dorms, freezing temperatures, and sudden evacuations.
The university says the issue is being fixed and some students are finally returning back home. Your Orange County community correspondent Jarrell Baker spoke with students about their experience.
What's the last thing that students wanted to happen, or anybody wanted to happen, rather, to have to be outside in the cold because of a situation like that? But if you look across the street here, you can see students are going back inside those dorms, and also repairs are underway. Several UCF students forced to evacuate their dorms this weekend because of this.
Completely flooded.
Water soaking the floors of several dorms. The university says that the problem impacted towers 1, 3, and 4, caused by a malfunction in hallway air conditioning units that recycled freezing outdoor air.
I guess whatever busted was right outside of our rooms in that hallway, because the flooding in the hallway was worst of all. It was like 2 inches of water. But just those 4 rooms.
Freshman Blake Ternaski now back home in Orlando, about 40 minutes away from campus because of the flooding in his room, one of the 4 impacted on his floor in Tower 3.
And so my roommate, who's still there, went to go do that, and he said there's a 50-50 chance on whether we can stay the night or not. Every other room is fine to go back in. It's just those 4, so.
The university followed up to say before 4 p.m. that repairs are underway and all of the buildings are reopened. UCF also says they do not expect any further disruptions to essential utilities, and staff will be continued to monitoring conditions. Now, officials say that they'll work one-on-one with students whose dorms were impacted, and they'll also help them find temporary housing and also work with their class schedules until they get everything resolved if need be. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jarrell Baker.
Well, of course, it was a chilly start to the week, and some students even got the day off to stay warm.
Yeah, coming up, we are looking at what districts are doing to protect students during frigid temps. And speaking of cold, Julie?
We are keeping weather alert criteria in place for tonight. Expect freeze warnings posted area-wide, but will warm up by the weekend. I'll break it all down in minutes.
And as we head to break, we want to remind you to check out our primetime schedule on News 6 Plus. We have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's at 9. Then go in depth as we answer your weather questions at 9:30. Then watch the late news an hour earlier. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus. Download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
We are following breaking news right now as all lanes are now open on I-95. We just told you a brush fire closed the northbound lanes, but we're learning the southbound lanes have now reopened as well. We're going to continue to stay on top of this situation and bring you updates throughout the evening and online at clickorlando.com.
Local schools are taking extra precautions to keep students safe in this cold weather, including closing some campuses. In Orange County, Summer Lake Elementary was closed today due to facility issues from freezing temperatures. For schools that are open, though, district teams are making sure everything runs smoothly. Your Seminole County community correspondent Mark Lehman is in Sanford with more on how they're handling this cold.
With the extreme cold causing a lot of concerns, maintenance workers were up early and at campuses like this one, making sure they were warm and ready to receive students and staff. Parents have also been asked for their help, as this is the coldest weather we've seen in more than a decade. There may have been fewer students walking to Bentley Elementary School this morning, but those who braved the sub-freezing temps were bundled up and in a hurry to get to class. How difficult was it getting ready for school this morning?
Oh, it was tough to get out of bed. I mean, the cold is everywhere.
Despite the temps, the Eswick family decided to make the trip to school on foot.
We're close enough that we walk, and so even though it is chilly, when you walk to school and then back, it kind of warms you up.
Leading up to this morning, districts across Central Florida have been taking extra steps to deal with the freeze. SCPS sending out this message, thanking maintenance teams and bus drivers for coming in early to make sure students stay warm. It's happening as families saw their own impacts at home.
We have a little fountain outside, and that's completely frozen.
Oh, really?
So no actual pipes that I know of yet, but, you know, fingers crossed that it stays warm enough to not do that.
Meanwhile, parents have been making sure their kids are prepared for the day.
So just wearing layers and taking them off when you get hot or something, so you're not sweating.
Here in Seminole County, the district is continuing to monitor for any issues that might have popped up because of the extreme cold this morning. Meanwhile, parents are being urged to continue dressing their kids in layers, as tomorrow will be slightly warmer but still have lows in the 30s. In Sanford, I'm your Seminole County community correspondent Mark Lehman, News 6.
I mean, we're not used to this and we're not built for it for sure.
We're not, our pets aren't, our plants certainly are not. Julie Broughton is standing by. Julie, I tried to save some.
Yeah.
But I know, it's not looking good at my house right now.
It's hard. And, you know, that's why I live in a townhome where I'm not actually responsible for anything
There you
outside.
go.
I've got the inside covered. The pets, they're good. The pipes are good. So, yeah, we're just not made for this. Here's where we started today. You can see we set records just about everywhere except for Leesburg, where Leesburg tied their record. Orlando, we were at 28 this morning. Melbourne 24, breaking your previous record of 33. Daytona Beach started at 25, 29 in Leesburg, and 27 in Sanford. Now we do have freeze warnings posted area-wide again tonight. Those kick in at 11 o'clock tonight and are up until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Here's what we can expect tonight. You'll drop to 27 in Ocala. The Villages, you'll go to 30, 32 for your overnight low tonight in Leesburg, 36 in Melbourne, and 32 in New Smyrna Beach. But this is what we'll feel like as the kids are heading out to school and you're heading out to work. Maybe that morning dog walk tomorrow. You'll be feeling like 14 in Ocala, 20 is how it will feel in Sanford, and it will feel like 21 in New Smyrna Beach. Here's what it looks like for us right now. Really just a gorgeous looking day. So much blue sky. That shows us we have a lot of dry air sitting right on top of us. This is our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera over downtown Orlando. 53 degrees. So right now we are sitting 20 degrees cooler than our normal high this time of year. 54 right now in DeLand. It is 54 in Leesburg. Wildwood, you are at 52, and it is 53 right now in Cocoa Beach. Here is your hour-by-hour forecast. This is DeVille, by the way, and he has excellent taste in his TV viewing habits. See what he has on the TV there? So he's waiting for his forecast. 46 degrees at 7 o'clock will be in the low 40s, 43 degrees by 8 o'clock. Here's what's happening across the southeast with this big area of high pressure sitting over the Gulf. Notice with that we have that clockwise circulation continuing to bring us those reinforcing winds out of the north, keeping that dry air in place for us. We can see that a little bit better as we take a look in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. This is the water vapor imagery, shows us moisture levels aloft, and we saw in that shot over downtown Orlando, not a cloud in the sky. That's why we have very limited moisture in place. Also, the dry conditions contributing to our drought situation. These new drought index comes out every Thursday, and you can see we are talking about pretty rough conditions across much of central Florida. Radar scanning out dry. We've been talking about that brush fire in southern Brevard County. A little bit earlier, we were really picking up that smoke plume pretty well on the radar. Not as clear for us right now, but again, we are looking at sensitive fire weather because of this dry air in place. Now I want to jump ahead into Wednesday. That's when our next front comes through, and we'll squeeze out a little bit of rain with this. Not any sort of drought busting rain, but Wednesday afternoon into the overnight hours and into the first part of the day on Thursday. As that front comes through, we will keep about a 40% chance of some showers in the picture. Then that will bring us a temporary cool down as we head into the weekend. So Friday morning, again, we're going back into the 30s after a little bit of a warm up. But your 7-day forecast, we've got to get through tomorrow. Then by Wednesday, our highs will be in the low 70s. We have that front come through. So then Friday morning, we start out in the 30s. But the weekend at this point is looking good. And I think after this past weekend, we deserve a nice, pleasant weekend in the 70s.
Coming up in the morning, keeping kids safe on e-bikes.
Our largest school district set to maybe create some new rules where parents get to weigh in.
Plus, parts of Central Florida set to dip again below freezing. Candace will have your forecast details every 10 minutes.
Join us for News 6 Mornings, starting at 6.
We want to take a live look now on the Space Coast, where today NASA is putting the Artemis 2 rocket to the test before its planned liftoff next week. And we're learning hydrogen is once again flowing to the rocket after an issue popped up earlier this afternoon. Teams stopped the flow of core stage liquid hydrogen around 2 this afternoon due to that issue.
Yeah, flow resumed just after 4 to the core stage as engineers work to complete a fast fill and begin topping off that tank. Now, a wet dress rehearsal was supposed to happen over the weekend, but NASA delayed it because of the cold weather. NASA needs to pull off this test before sending 4 astronauts on a 10-day trip around the moon. That's farther than any humans have traveled in decades. In Houston, mission control teams and astronauts are training in a series of manufactured in-flight failures. The training team comes up with endless ways something could possibly go wrong during this mission. Right now, the 4 astronauts are in quarantine at Johnson Space Center in Houston and will fly to Florida later this week.
The United States has been to the moon several times. Why is it important for us to go back?
So many countries right now are realizing the value and what we can bring back by going to the moon. The industry gains, the knowledge gains, the scientific gains, the inspiration gains. There's so much to gain that I'm happy that we are leading the way back.
Now, there are only a few dates in the February launch period. If the rocket does not get off the ground between February 8th and the 11th, the flight will slip into the next launch period, which starts in early March. So fingers crossed for that mission. News 6 at 5 is next.
Anchor Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead.
Well, some breaking news. An absolute traffic nightmare developing right now in Lake County. A depression causing the road to crack open, the latest in a live report. And I-95 beginning to reopen after a shutdown because of a brush fire earlier today. What we're learning from this coming up.
An analysis underway after an apparent road collapse. We're taking you as close as we can get here in Lake County.
Plus, a shutdown on I-95, dry brush and high winds leading to an impassable road for the second day in a row, and honoring the 49 victims.
I feel good to see it because I know it's something to remember.
The big step today as the city makes way for a memorial honoring those who died at Pulse. You're watching News 6 at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Lisa Bell. We are starting tonight with breaking news in Lake County as we take a look at some video that's coming into the News 6 newsroom. A road depression forcing detours right now. It's happening on Empire Church Road between Bear Lake Road and Edge Hill Drive. Our Catherine Silver has been out there all afternoon trying to learn how exactly this happened. She joins us now. So, Catherine, what's the latest?
Well, good evening. Right now, we are standing about as close as we can get while also maintaining a safe distance and staying out of the way while crews do what work they need to finish doing. Here, I'm standing on Empire Church Road. The depression is right beyond these barricades behind me. Really, the best view that we can give you tonight is from above, and the best perspective is from the people who live nearby. A growing problem in Groveland. Drone video shows the damage to Empire Church Road, a depression that county officials say is 90 feet wide, 200 feet long, and about 50 feet deep. It seems pretty considerable.
It's gotten actually much larger than that since the first set of photos that were posted.
We met Samantha Singh on her way to pick up her kids Monday afternoon. In the morning, she said it was small enough she didn't even notice it.
And then I came back home and couldn't get through.
She described how close her house is to us, diagonal from the depression.
We were very worried because we're on 5 acres out here.
And she's not the only one worrying and watching.
I told my grandkids over here, I said, Grandpa drove over that last night. And and here today the road's all caved in.
We spoke with Rick Chestnut while crews assessed the damage in the distance.
I'm a little bit surprised they got out this quickly. I'm glad they did. I see that it looks like they're doing some drilling of some sort, I suspect, to find out if it's going to cave in anymore.
Lake County says an analysis will determine if this is in fact a sinkhole. Their priority is to find a solution and reopen the road as soon as possible.
We're hoping they'll get it fixed because it's going to add about 30 minutes to go around.
This road is very busy in the morning because it connects all of the houses down that way. So I was concerned that it was happening over here. I was like, how are we supposed to get out from here?
And here's another live look at the work that is continuing here tonight. Certainly they have to stabilize this before they can even think about starting to make repairs. The county estimates about 1,400 cars drive through here every single day. They're recommending Empire Mascot Road as a detour. I'm live in Lake County. Catherine Silver, News 6.
That is a big mess out there, Catherine. Thank you. And that road is not the only one facing some major issues right now. We're following more breaking news in Brevard County. Right now, all lanes of I-95 are in the process of being reopened, but smoke from a brush fire forced it to shut down for hours today. This was happening between St. John's Heritage Parkway and Malabar Road. Our Alex Cook is out there at that scene following the latest developments. And Alex, that fire has been burning for days now. What's the latest from there?
That's right, and after more than 24 hours of I-95 being closed, the good news right now at 5 is that all lanes are back open. As you can see, it's a beautiful day here in Palm Bay, clear skies, no visible smoke, a very different scene from what it looked like earlier. Take a look at this video of the smoke from earlier when it was still causing the road to be closed. You can see that the smoke blanketed I-95, severely limiting visibility and forcing officials to shut down both directions for over 24 hours. On our way down here just about an hour ago, southbound traffic was still being diverted at exit 173 with a huge delay, and firefighters warned that driving through the smoke was dangerous, which is why it was necessary. But they've since gotten that fire under control, and conditions have improved. I-95 now completely open to drivers, and it's a beautiful day. No smoke over I-95 anymore. Live in Palm Bay, Alex Cook, News 6.
Alex, thank you.
Our other big story out there is that big cool down we felt over the weekend.
Yeah, thankfully, it is a bit warmer today, but we are still not in the safety zone. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joins us now. So, Jonathan, when can we expect temperatures to actually go up instead of down?
Yeah, I think one more morning, Lisa, and that's when we're going to start to see improvements as early as tomorrow afternoon. Freeze warning in play for everybody again as we're going to teeter around the freezing mark. It's not going to be as cold as the last couple of nights, but again, we're hanging around the freezing mark enough to get that freeze warning in effect from the National Weather Service. Right now, it's doing a little bit better, certainly improvements from yesterday by about 10 degrees. We're in the mid-50s in Sanford, 54 degrees in DeLand. Good evening in Melbourne. We're back to 53 as well. Bushnell, we are checking in at 55 degrees. That is still running about 20 degrees below where we should be for this time of the year for the afternoon. Now, tomorrow morning, again, we're starting off most of us in the lower 30s, a few of us still northwest of I-4 and closer to I-75, dipping back into the upper 20s. That's why we had the freeze warning in effect. But starting tomorrow afternoon, we start to pull out of this deep freeze. We will cool back down again as we get towards the latter stages of the week as another system slides through. We are going to highlight all of the ups and downs coming our way at about 5:17, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. Breaking in the last hour, the Florida Supreme Court will hear arguments about whether constitutional amendments can be put on the ballot, including one involving recreational marijuana.
This comes after the state said this proposed amendment, along with 21 others, did not get the required number of signatures before last night's deadline. News 6 investigator Erica Bragulio is following these developments live from the newsroom. Erica, a lot happening within the last few hours.
A lot happening, but to get to this breaking news, I need to take you back a little bit. Florida's Attorney General previously asked the Florida Supreme Court for an opinion about the marijuana amendment. Now the Supreme Court wants to know whether it needs to even give an opinion because these amendments will supposedly not be on the ballot. Now, the marijuana petition needed 880,000 signatures for the measure to be on the 2026 ballot. But according to the state website, the group fell short, submitting more than 780,000 signatures. A spokesperson for the group behind the amendment, Smart and Safe Florida, tells me the state's declaration is, quote, premature. In a statement to News 6, a spokesperson says the final and complete county-by-county totals for validated petitions are not yet reported. He says the group submitted more than 1 million signatures, and it believes when they are all counted, it will have more than enough to make the ballot. Now, Florida's Attorney General has been investigating claims this petition had fraudulent signatures. Just hours ago, he said the investigation is far from over.
We're looking at a lot of fraudulent signatures. I know that, hundreds of thousands, were being verified as false signatures. People were calling in saying, that's not my signature, I didn't submit it. I think this highlights the danger of these petition gathering processes, things going on the ballot where, you have fraud in the election system.
It is important to note, back in July, a new law took effect in Florida, adding more regulations for these ballot petitions, requiring signature gatherers to be registered with the state and to go through training. I asked Smart and Safe Florida its response to the state's criminal investigation. A spokesperson says it reported those signatures and the signature gatherers it's suspected of submitting fraudulent signatures, and that it is committed to ensuring the process is done correctly. Now, back to that announcement from the Florida Supreme Court. Florida's Attorney General must respond to the court by tomorrow morning, with arguments scheduled for later this week, meaning Smart and Safe Florida can also respond to this. So a lot happening in the last 24 hours regarding this amendment. We will stay on top of all of this and let you know what happens. Matt?
A lot going on, Erica Bragulio, thank you. It was a busy morning for fire crews across Central Florida. 3 separate fires broke out. You can see all 3 here. One of the fires broke out in Osceola County, the other 2 in Seminole and Orange. The Osceola County fire broke out at an abandoned hotel. It's off 192 and Safari Trail. Happened around 5 in the morning in a laundry facility. Half that facility was damaged, but no one was hurt. The second fire broke out at a Seminole County apartment complex. 13 people had to find another place to stay because of this. The complex is off Howell Branch Road. Seminole Fire says one apartment had fire damage, another had water damage. 3 people went to the hospital. The third broke out at a home in Pine Hills. That home is on Strasburg Court. Everybody made it out unhurt. The Red Cross is helping the family. All 3 fires are under investigation. We're working to learn more about what happened. We'll bring you those updates on air and online at clickorlando.com.
The mark of change. A fence is going up around Pulse nightclub. It's the first step toward building a permanent memorial for the 49 people killed in the 2016 mass shooting. Your Orange County community correspondent Tylisa Hampton joins us now live from the site. So Tylisa, where is the process at right now?
Well, Lisa, as you can see, there is no fence yet around this post site. However, we did see a large group of people out here earlier canvassing this area, walking around, even going inside this building with what appear to be construction maps, even some tools. And we did speak to some people who just wanted to come by before this fence goes up, take it all in before this change comes to pay their respects. What brought you out here?
We have people that I know that work with us, and they were here too.
10 years after the deadly mass shooting at Pulse nightclub that killed 49 people, the site has been wrapped with heartbreaking pictures, flags, and memories for many. Emotionally, when you do look at it, how do you feel?
I feel good to see it because I know it's something to remember.
But like the posters that were once hung here, a change is on the horizon. The city of Orlando is preparing to install construction fencing for a permanent memorial, as we saw a large group, some getting out of a construction truck, walk around the site.
It's not going to look the same until they finish it then.
Before this fence goes up around Post nightclub, really marking the start of construction for this permanent memorial, you'll notice these empty spaces right here. These were where handmade posters were made for some of those victims. We saw someone come by, take those down. Others came by, taking a look at this before it changes. Are you anxious about how it's going to look next?
Well, I would rather it stay like this.
With demolition set to start in mid-March, several hope this sacred ground will be honored correctly.
If they're going to break it down and have something for people come and see, that's perfect. Like I'm right now, I come a lot of times to come and see it.
So again, you can see those slow changes before this fence goes up. So you can see where those posters that were once right here, those have been taken down. And again, once that fence goes up, we'll make sure to update you. We do know that in early March that the city of Orlando, they will have a meeting with the public about those design details. So we should get more information on that. As for the demolition on when this building will be demolished, that is set to take place mid-March. Reporting in Orange County, I'm Tylisa Hampton. Back to you.
Tylisa, thank you. Record low temps, frozen plants, cold cars, and Central Florida snow, kind of.
Yeah, that's right. The cold weather this weekend brought snow to a Seminole County neighborhood. Technically not real snow. Next at 5, how one creative dad turned his neighborhood into a winter wonderland.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Launch Credit Union.
Well, I know you felt those record low temperatures over the weekend.
We're still feeling them. It was actually cold enough, though, to do this. Take a look. It turned one Seminole County neighborhood into a winter wonderland. News 6's Jana Manahalal shows us how one dad used science and creativity to bring snow to his neighborhood.
Snow in Florida? All right, I know it sounds insane, but look at this video. These are kids in Seminole County playing in snow. Well, this snow didn't actually come from the sky exactly. It came from Austin Beagley, a dad in Seminole County who had the perfect opportunity to do something most Floridians never get to experience.
Every time it gets cold enough, like really cold, like last night cold, we're able to go ahead and actually make snow. We actually have a snow machine that throws in a little bit of science together, and then we get to go ahead and turn it on.
And thanks to the cold temps, it didn't take long to get the flurry started.
This was only 3 hours of snowmaking that we got in. It was so cold that we were able to pump out a lot more, and now it's getting crushed. But the kids get to play and have fun and throw some snowballs, and we do it for our children, of course, but also the neighborhood.
The science behind it combines pressure, air, and cold enough temperatures.
And that comes in and basically breaks apart particles, and it's a process called nucleization. And then from there, what happens is it comes out, and by the time it has to get up in the air, it has to be cold enough, and it falls down as snow.
All right, guys, look at this. We're actually going to give you a little bit of ASMR right now. The crunch of this snow. Don't mind my dirty shoes here, but listen to that. That's legit snow, if I've ever seen it.
We did do it here 15 years ago with our two oldest, Joshua right over there, playing in the snow now at 20.
Is there any difference 15 years ago as compared to now with the expression on these kids' faces?
No, exactly the same joy.
It's just happiness and joyfulness.
Happiness, having a patch of snow in Seminole County.
With temperatures already warming back up, this Florida snow won't last long, but for families here, it's a memory they won't forget. For now in Seminole County, I'm Jada Manahalal, News 6.
I mean,
Was she sledding there? Is that
I don't know what was happening there. You're trying to make the most out of this situation, I guess. And it is a fun little novelty.
Good times. I'm sure the kids had a great time with that, but I think the rest of us, especially us adults, are ready to get back to the 70s at least, Jonathan Kegas.
Especially if you had some issues with the pipes over the weekend, for sure. Temperatures are starting in that direction. It is certainly still chilly out there. Felt great in the sunshine. Here we go. We are making turning the corner anywhere from 10-ish degrees above where we were yesterday at this time. That's putting us back into the mid-50s across Central Florida. Still have that deceptive sunshine going on, though. Live look in downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam, but it does feel nice when you're right in it. We're at 53 degrees right now. The air temperatures, again, in the low 50s with the breeze out of the west-northwest. At about 5 to 10 miles an hour tonight. We're at 52 in Palm Coast. Good evening in Wildwood. We've chilled back down to 50. 55 degrees in Ocala, Holopah. We are also at 55. Palm Bay, good evening. We are checking in at 56 degrees. Now, getting into tomorrow, it's going to be cold. We're going to be flirting with the freezing mark across most of Central Florida. However, it is a little warmer. It's all relative as you wake up tomorrow. So that's kind of starting to turn things in the right direction if you don't like the cold. Midnight tonight, we're going to dip down into the mid-30s. We pretty much hold into the low to mid-30s by 3 o'clock and into 6 a.m. When most of you guys are waking up tomorrow morning, again, it's still going to be cold, just not as cold. For that, here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Payne Law.
And I mean, we're talking about the mid-30s not being as cold. You know how cold it was over the weekend when most of us woke up in the low to mid-20s. We're at 29 in Ocala tomorrow. Denell, and we're at 28 Mount Dora. Good evening. We're going to start things off right around the freezing mark at 33. Daytona Beach, New Smyrna, we're going to start our day into the mid-30s. Again, average low temperatures are in the low 50s, so still way below where we should be for this time of the year. Improvements tomorrow, though, about 10 degrees below normal. That's at 73. Our air temperatures tomorrow into the low to mid-60s. Rain chances still at 0%. We could use some rain. I don't think we really get any until we get into Thursday, early in Thursday. And I don't think it's that widespread. What will be widespread tonight with the calmer winds will be the frost and freeze again as air temperatures are teetering around that 32-degree mark. By the middle of the week, as we get towards Wednesday, that's when the 70s return for a very short time. But then we have another system poised to bring another round of colder air, not as cold as what we just dealt with by the time we get into the start of the end of the work week. There is that cold front as we push forward from Wednesday into Thursday. You see what was a nice line of showers and some downpours really fizzles out as it moves through our area as we get into early on Thursday, kind of reignites again in South Florida towards the Bahamas. That's going to be 1 o'clock on Thursday, and that's the front that brings in some of the reinforcing cooler air. So here we go. This is the day that we're talking about. Wednesday, we're back into the lower 70s, 40% shot for a few showers early on Thursday, but you see what it does to our temperatures again. Highs are going to fall back into the low 60s. We start into the 30s again on Friday, and then there we go. That's what we're really looking for, guys. The weekend and beyond, low to mid 70s, finally come back as we get towards the weekend.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Well, we all know how this weekend went. It was very cold.
But it was not just us humans feeling the weather. Plants felt it as well. We checked out our Pin It page. Take a look. We're showing you how some plants fared. This is from our trooper Steve. He says his neighbor left the sprinkler on, and you can see these branches were covered in ice. Jacob in Winter Springs showed us this picture. He said it's a winter wonderland, showing us what it looks like snow or ice, not only on the tree, but on the ground as well. And Wanda in Cocoa Beach shared these photos. She said it's right on 520, and she wanted to show us some frozen plants. You can see there, one even looks to be blowing in the wind a bit. I have a lot of dead plants in my yard right now.
Yeah, I have some sad-looking tropical
It's awful.
plants.
You can scan the QR code on your screen right now and send us your weather pictures and videos. They could end up on TV. You can also go to clickorlando.com/pins and upload your pictures and videos that way.
Well, ID changes are coming to airports across the country.
If you do not have real ID, you will be catching a fee when it's time to go through security. Coming up, how much you can expect to pay and the steps you can take to ensure you are real ID compliant.
Monday evening traffic alert. The cold does not stop construction, so please make sure you're paying attention overnight. Up in Volusia, I-95 north and southbound, you'll see some road work happening by US 92. Follow the detours if you need to exit there. Then I-4 east and westbound out by the attractions, Turnpike and State Road 528, that area. And then you will see a closure overnight northbound Florida Turnpike at the 242. That puts you at US 192. Everyone will be required to exit there. Just follow the detour and they'll get you back on. I'm Trooper Steve with the News 6 Traffic Alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
You might be paying more to get through security the next time you head to the airport. New rules started just yesterday. If you don't have real ID, it's that little star on your license. Travelers without real ID have to pay $45 to use TSA's alternate identity verification option. The fee is meant to encourage people to get the real ID. That's according to the Department of Homeland Security. The new rule is for anyone 18 and over flying within the U.S. The verification covers 10 days of travel. Check out this article on our website, clickorlando.com. It'll walk you through everything you need to know about this new process that just started. Well, it's a case we've been following now for more than a year.
A former teacher and principal accused of hosting an out-of-control party.
Coming up, what we've learned today about the sentence that principal will serve.
Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We're following several top stories for you right now. In Lake County, a road collapse forced officials to close a portion of Empire Church Road in Groveland. It's 200 feet long, 90 feet wide, and about 50 feet deep, they tell us. The road is closed from Bear Lake Road to Edge Hill Drive.
The Florida Supreme Court will hear arguments about whether constitutional amendments can be put on the ballot, including one involving recreational marijuana. It comes after the state said the proposed amendment, along with 21 others, did not get the required number of signatures before last night's deadline.
Fences are about to go up around Pulse nightclub in Orlando. The rainbow-colored tribute, which has become a symbol of both tragedy and resilience, will soon disappear. Demolition set for March. A permanent memorial will be built at the site. Well, the case against a teacher and principal accused of hosting an out-of-control house party has come to a close.
The teacher was sentenced last year. Today, the ex-principal was in court. Your Cocoa Beach community correspondent James Sparvero was there.
How does it feel not to be going back to jail, Elizabeth? This former principal just got put on probation for letting her teenage sons throw a house party with 100 other teens.
Elizabeth Jolyn Hill Brodigan.
The state attorney's office told me 2 weeks ago when Elizabeth Hill Brodigan's sentencing hearing started that time behind bars would not be part of the former Roosevelt Elementary principal's plea bargain. Monday, when sentencing was official, I asked prosecutor Julia Lynch, why not? Julia, why weren't you seeking jail time?
I don't think this was the type of case at this juncture that required it. I think that what we got resolved with a plea addresses the needs of the community, and it takes care of a problem that got out of control.
I was here hanging out at this party. I mean, what the f?
Former Roosevelt teacher Carly Anderson was also put on probation after the party. Anderson got 1 year of probation. Brodigan gets 2 under conditions like
There are to be no house parties at your home or gatherings where alcohol and/or marijuana is being possessed or used.
And like after court now, the ex-principal didn't answer any of my questions at her January 20th court appearance either. Do you ever want to teach again? Be a principal again? The state dropped the felony charge Brodigan was facing, child neglect. That could have carried a prison sentence. The state also said some teens at the party were asked to come and testify in court, but they chose not to. In Brevard County, I'm your Cocoa Beach community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
Well, citrus farmers are now assessing the damage after several freezing nights.
The big question, what survived? News 6's Jana Manaholal is in Claremont bringing us the latest.
This orange grove isn't typically what you see for Florida oranges. It's covered in ice from everything from the plant to the tree to the actual fruit itself. But the citrus farmers here at Showcase of Citrus tell me that's exactly what they wanted to have happen. Ice-covered citrus trees are a rare sighting in Central Florida. At Showcase of Citrus in Claremont, co-owner Tara Boschel walked us through the groves after days of freezing temperatures and heavy winds.
This poor tree here, it split due to the weight of the ice. This tree probably will not live at all.
Farmers ran irrigation systems overnight to insulate the trees, keeping them at about 32 degrees. But it's not all bad. How many of these trees do you have that are like this now because of those heavy winds?
There are a few, less than I actually expected.
That's good.
Because, I mean, if you look, even if we come over here, you know, this tree, there's 100 pounds of ice probably built up over there. But this tree happened to be stronger.
So it's not only the fruit that they wanted to have freeze over, it's also the plant in which the fruit comes from. This flower right here, you can see here, parts of it still frozen over from those few nights of freezing cold temperatures. But the ones that are damaged have the biggest impact.
Because of the 12 to 15 hour consistent freezing temperatures, these blossoms probably won't make it. Therefore, less fruit.
Boschel says protecting the trunk was critical.
We want to protect the tree trunk. Just like humans, we can get frostbite on our arms and legs and still survive. But if your core freezes, you're not going to make it.
The uncertainty is the hardest part.
Nerve-wracking because you just don't know the outcome. We can only control so much. Mother Nature ultimately has the final say-so.
These citrus farmers have to wait for this big chunk of ice on some of these trees that are causing it to lean to melt so they could fully assess the damage. For now in Claremont, I'm Jana Manaholal, News 6.
A proposal to eliminate yellow vehicle registration stickers on license plates has started to move in the Florida legislature. The House Government Operations Committee unanimously backed the measure, which would have registration renewals recorded electronically. The Miami-Dade tax collector's office estimated going digital would save the office $2.5 million annually to record registrations and renewals.
It will make a monumental change throughout the state of Florida, and it will help. This will cut the red tape. We like to say it cuts the yellow tape, and it'll help everyone's life be a little bit easier. We're going to save government money, which in turn will save taxpayer dollars.
Many law enforcement officers can already verify motor vehicle registrations electronically. The bill has one more committee to get through before reaching the House floor. The Senate version has yet to appear before a committee.
Here's a live look at the U.S. Capitol, which is starting the week without running full throttle. Right now, the government is in a partial shutdown. The House Rules Committee set to take up a funding package this afternoon to try to end that partial government shutdown that began this weekend. The Senate passed a deal Friday to separate out funding for the Department of Homeland Security while lawmakers negotiate reforms to ICE. CBS's Erica Brown has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Ahead of a key committee meeting Monday, House Speaker Mike Johnson expressed optimism that the partial government shutdown will soon be over.
Well, let's say I'm confident that we'll do it at least by Tuesday. We have a logistical challenge of getting everyone in town.
The House Rules Committee is considering the deal the Senate passed Friday, which separates out the Department of Homeland Security and provides just 2 weeks of funding so lawmakers can negotiate reforms to ICE in the wake of the deadly shootings by federal agents in Minneapolis last month. Some Democratic lawmakers in the House have signaled they will vote against the funding package, demanding real changes before ICE and Customs and Border Protection receive more funding.
For the Democrats to turn around and vote against it on Tuesday just to shut down the federal government makes no sense to me at all. I think the Speaker, the trick is getting it through the Rules Committee, and I believe that the Speaker would not do that if he didn't have the votes.
Democrats are calling for an end to roving patrols of ICE agents, tighter warrant rules, body cameras for all agents, and a ban on face coverings.
Taxpayer dollars should not be used to brutalize the American people, and in some instances, kill them.
Other government agencies are also affected by the partial shutdown, including the Department of Defense, the State Department, and the Treasury Department. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
There is some good news for Floridians as the government debates their spending. Floridians actually may be able to spend a bit more. Most Americans have lost spending power in the last 5 years. Pay has jumped 18%, but inflation has jumped 21%. In Florida, though, spending power has increased by more than 2.5%. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It all means Florida is doing better than most of the country when it comes to what's actually going out versus what's coming in.
Well, pile driving is underway along the 417 in Seminole County.
People who live in the area may hear some loud noises like pounding or banging, and it all comes from the construction. Our trooper Steve went out to get a look at the construction. He shows us what it looks like and brings us some safety tips.
Construction has been happening on I-4 for a long time, but 417, it has definitely kicked up. And we're getting ready to hop onto 417 here from Aloma and head northbound. But recently over at clickorlando.com, we covered this because Seminole County put out a warning or more of an advisory letting people know, hey, look, we're going through a widening project, $300 million here from Aloma all the way up to 434. And there's going to be a lot of noise because of the pile driving. Look what's happened out here. They've moved the exit. So it used to be right here to get onto 417. Not anymore. You got to cross over the intersection here. And now we have a new entrance ramp. So this is a brand new entrance ramp from Aloma to 417 south. But look at the equipment that's out here. It is crazy. Huge cranes, large amounts of heavy equipment, and something that you always need to make sure you're paying attention to, ground level, lane shifting. Sometimes when you get on here, maybe on a Tuesday, it might not look the same on a Thursday. So you got to be careful.
And you can learn more about the project in this article at clickorlando.com. You can hit the road with Trooper Steve on patrol weekdays at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. on the new 6 Plus streaming app for your smart TV or at clickorlando.com.
Major cold across the state over the weekend, but we weren't the only ones dealing with some crazy weather.
Across much of the South, snow and ice pounded the area.
Coming up, what we're learning today after that storm made its way out.
Freeze warnings back in play for all of Central Florida tonight. One more night, and then we're going to start to warm things back up. We're going to talk about that part of your forecast at about 5:47.
Plus, a local bakery shut down after a semi crashed through its front door. What we're seeing days after the crash.
You can try out the all-new prime time schedule on News 6 Plus. Ginger and I have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's at 9. Go in-depth as we answer your weather questions with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas at 9:30. Then watch the late news an hour early. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus.
You can download our streaming app for free. Just search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Shark Coatings. Some crazy video to share with you here. You can see a truck right in the side of a building.
So this happened early Saturday morning in Edgewood. Police say the semi was driving down Orange Avenue when it veered off the road over the sidewalk and into Tano's Bakery. It happened around 3 in the morning. Officers say Tano's suffered major structural damage. They say the driver went to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Tano's announced they are closed indefinitely. An investigation is underway.
Well, Florida did see a few snowflakes across Florida on Saturday night.
And nothing, though, like the snow that slammed parts of the South over the weekend. Lee Waldman takes a look at the brutal winter weather.
There is a shadow here on my ground.
The most famous rodent weather prognosticator is calling for 6 more weeks of winter, an unwelcome sign for the millions still reeling from this weekend's bomb cyclone. And North Carolina residents are working to clear the snow after some cities experience the heaviest snowfall in decades.
If they get 7-8 inches, that's going to be more than we've ever seen, I believe.
Video captures the moment a train hit a semi-cab after it got stuck on snow-covered railroad tracks in Gastonia. No one was hurt. The record-breaking snowstorm caused more than 1,000 crashes, including 2 fatalities and a traffic jam involving more than 100 vehicles, according to North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein. Thousands of people across multiple states are without power as temperatures fell, including in Tennessee, where some people in Nashville are still without power from the previous winter storm.
There should not be people dying in their homes that are freezing to death.
The Nashville Electric Service does not expect full power restoration to happen until next Monday. In Florida, cold-stunned iguanas are falling from trees in record low temperatures across the state.
This is easily 100 pounds of iguanas.
Meanwhile, in the skies, the storm caused flight disruptions. More than 1,100 U.S. flights were canceled on Sunday, according to FlightAware. Nearly 2,500 were canceled on Saturday during the peak of the storm. Warm temperatures throughout the week should help melt the lingering ice and snow. Emily Waldman reporting.
And I officially stopped complaining right there. Just watching
right?
that story.
Yeah. All right, we want to check in now with our meteorologist, Jonathan Kegas. We have one more day, and then we finally will have some relief.
Just for a one-day relief. It's not going to last too long until we get to the upcoming weekend. We're going to chill things back down before the end of this work week. So a few ups and downs. Here's the battle right now. The chill through the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes, of course. We are still feeling it into the Southeast as well. The warmth is trying to build again in Texas. That is eventually what we feel as we get into Wednesday, but then quickly we get the resurgence of some of the chill once again. I'll show you what I'm talking about in the 7-day forecast in a couple of minutes. 54 right now in Sanford. It's a little bit better than yesterday, but certainly still 20 degrees below where we should be for this time of the year. Hanging back in the lower 50s in Palm Coast. Wildwood, good evening. We were at 58. Kissimmee, we are at 54 degrees just before 6 o'clock in the evening. Looks very nice outside. Clear skies, not a cloud in the sky. Temperatures, again, getting back into the 50s across the board. We're at 52 at the port. Live look with our Launch Credit Union camera this evening. The breeze has finally backed off. It's that light wind that's going to help the temperatures fall fast again tonight and also allow for that widespread frost and freeze to settle back in. So here's the deal. It's a touch warmer than yesterday. It is still really, really cold. This is what we're waking up to on your Tuesday morning. Mount Dora, we're at 33. Sanford will be at 34. A touch below freezing in DeLand. We're still back to the upper 20s in Denellen and Ocala. Palm Bay, we're back into the lower 30s. So that freeze potential is still real again. Freeze warnings out for everybody for one more night. Now here's a look at your afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Advent Health.
High temperatures tomorrow back to the low to mid 60s. Rain chances tomorrow at 0%. They're going to go up a little bit late Wednesday night and as we get into the day on Thursday. This is really early in the morning on Thursday, so I'm expecting most of Thursday to be on the drier side. Only a 30% shot, though, as a new cold front slides back in to reinforce some of the cold that we just got done with or still dealing with. It's not going to be as cold, though, as what we felt over the weekend. Temperature anomaly forecast. The blues and the darker the blues represent the further below normal we are. Certainly the orange and the red represents the warmer stuff. So as we get into tomorrow, again, we are still in that deep purple. We are still about 20 to 30 degrees below where we should be for this time of the year. Here comes that reinforcing shot of the chill. That's Monday, February 9th. And you see we keep that blue color all over the state of Florida until we get into the middle stages of next week. So even this weekend warm-up that we're talking about, it's still going to be below where we should be by a notch or two. That's looking towards the middle of the month, February 12th to 13th, and you see the warmth starting to build across the deep south. For us, we have a little bit of yellow around, just a couple of notches above where we should be, but that would be a good enough for the middle 70s coming back down the pipeline. So here's this little roller coaster ride that we're going on. Certainly it's going to be much, much better by the time we get to Wednesday. Still a chilly start Wednesday, but we are heading back to the low to mid 70s. There's the cold front on Thursday that gives us those rain chances, especially early. That's going to take our highs back down to around 60. Chilly start again on Friday, guys, back in the 30s, and then there's a little bit of a warm-up back to closer where we should be Saturday, Sunday into the early start of next work week, guys.
All right, it's an improvement.
We can see some light at the end of the tunnel.
A lot of light.
Yeah.
Hey, Central Florida's Miracle Baseball League was at risk of losing their field.
But after hundreds of donations and a rebuild, their field is back. Coming up, how their story turned from one of worry to pure excitement over the continuance of their Miracle League. And coming up at 6.
A man died after riding a roller coaster here at Epic Universe last fall. Now I've exclusively obtained text messages between state amusement ride inspectors. Coming up, I'll show you what those state inspectors were discussing behind the scenes.
Coming up in the morning, keeping kids safe on e-bikes.
Our largest school district set to maybe create some new rules where parents get to weigh in.
Plus, parts of Central Florida set to dip again below freezing. Candace will have your forecast details every 10 minutes.
Join us for News 6 Mornings, starting at 6.
And taking a live look at Blue Springs State Park. Our friendly
beautiful.
manatees are huddled up together next to that 72-degree spring. You're watching News 6 at 5. We'll be right back.
Well, Central Florida's Miracle League now has a new field to play on.
So Miracle League gives children and adults with disabilities the chance to play the game they love, but they'd been facing some struggles and were at risk of losing their field that was in disrepair. Your community correspondent Jana Manahalal shares their story.
The field itself, the field before this field was 20 years old, and it was on its last legs 6 years ago. And we had a time standpoint there where if we didn't change the field out, we were going to have to disband the league.
For years, this field at Trotters Park was the heart of the Central Florida Miracle League, a place where children and adults with disabilities could play baseball. But behind the smiles, the field itself was falling apart.
If we were walking through this about 2 months ago, you would be amazed at how poor the field was. The field did not drain, so it was always flooded. It had big chunks out of it. It's hard to get wheelchairs across it. It became an issue where it was a safety issue.
And the league was at risk of losing the entire field. This is the same field News 6 first showed you when former News 6 anchor Justin Wormuth revealed just how unsafe conditions had become and how close the Miracle League was to shutting down for good. That story sparked a wave of attention, urgency, and community support.
Trying to help community is a big goal of mine, and called up my business partner at the time, Matt Steinberg, and I said they need $80,000. Like, instead of doing this in pieces, let's just get it going so they can get this right away.
One donor quickly became many, with contributions ranging from $5 to tens of thousands, all coming together to save a league built for some of Central Florida's most vulnerable athletes. A change designed not just for play, but for safety, to allow all to play.
Seeing this now, and everyone's like, this is terrific, but seeing what it was and to what it is now is just amazing.
And for special needs players like Jake Jennings, this is a big upgrade.
I like it. Like it better than the previous field.
But the work isn't finished.
Now, the field is important, but our next project is accessible bathrooms, which we don't have. So we're raising funds as we talk right now, raising funds for accessible bathrooms, for wheelchairs and so forth.
Accessibility has to extend beyond the field itself.
Everyone deserves to play baseball, whether you're in a wheelchair, whatever ailment you have, everybody deserves to play baseball.
In Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
Love to see that.
That field looks
incredible. Looks beautiful. You build it?
They will come.
Yes, it's going to be great. Ginger Gadsden is in the newsroom with what we're working on for News 6 at 6.
Yeah, Matt and Lisa, we're keeping an eye on a developing story out of Lake County today. So take a look at some video we have from Sky 6. This is a giant hole. It's 9 feet deep, and it swallowed part of a road there. We'll have a live report also ahead.
It's a soon-to-be change coming to the post site coming up. We spoke to people paying their final respects before a fence goes up around it.
And this is a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back. Now at 6, what caused a road to crumble in Lake County?
It's gotten actually much larger than that since the first set of photos that were posted.
We're getting you around the mess. Plus, rare cold blasting Central Florida. How soon until we warm up? And a critical test on our Space Coast, standing between 4 astronauts and a historic moon mission. News 6 at 6 starts now. And we begin at 6 with that rare cold blast, the low temperature sticking around for yet another night.
And when we say rare, we mean Central Florida dealing with temperatures not seen since 2010.
Yeah, News 6 meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now at the desk to explain what is going on.
Yeah, we're going to start to warm things back up, guys. We've been talking about this all last week. That's why it was important to take care of the pipes. We saw a lot of issues over the weekend with bursting pipes or frozen pipes. We're going to be in that danger zone for one more night. I don't think as extreme, though. I think most of us stay right around the freezing mark rather than spending 10 to 12 hours below it like what we woke up to on Sunday morning. However, freeze warning still in play. Again, this is the one for the plants and pipes. Just, again, keep everything covered and protected for one more night, and then we'll break out of it for one day, and then we're going to kind of go back into that direction. Not as extreme, though. Again, freeze warning, though, in play for everybody for tomorrow. Now, temperatures right now, they're doing a little bit better than where we were yesterday at this time, hanging around 50 in Orlando, 52 degrees in Oviedo. However, that is still about 20 degrees below where we should be for this time of the year. Now, air temperatures tomorrow, again, going to get back into the 40s. We'll fall back into the 30s by the time we get to midnight, bottoming out into the low to mid 30s. This is going to be for tonight into the early stages of tomorrow morning. So a little warmer by a couple degrees, still really cold again tomorrow. We're going to break down, though, when we start to warm up for good, at least for a longer period of time, coming up at about 6:17, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. Now at 6, another road to get you through Lake County crumbling and closed. These are some images from Empire Church Road. If you're not familiar with this area, it's just south of Groveland's downtown. News 6's Catherine Silver is live near the site of that collapse. Catherine, what can you see out there?
I'm standing here on Empire Church Road, and we're taking you right up to the barricades. You can see the depression is just beyond them. Really, the best view we can give you tonight is from above, and the best perspective is from the people who live here. A growing problem in Groveland. Drone video shows the damage to Empire Church Road, a depression that county officials say is 90 feet wide, 200 feet long, and about 50 feet deep. It seems pretty considerable.
It's gotten actually much larger than that since the first set of photos that were posted.
We met Samantha Singh on her way to pick up her kids Monday afternoon. In the morning, she said it was small enough she didn't even notice it.
And then I came back home and couldn't get through.
She described how close her house is to us, diagonal from the depression.
We were very worried because we're on 5 acres out here.
And she's not the only one worrying and watching.
I told my grandkids over here, I said, Grandpa drove over that last night. And and here today, the road's all caved in.
We spoke with Rick Chestnut while crews assessed the damage in the distance.
I'm a little bit surprised they got out this quickly. I'm glad they did. I see that it looks like they're doing some drilling of some sort, I suspect, to find out if it's going to cave in anymore.
Lake County says an analysis will determine if this is in fact a sinkhole. Their priority is to find a solution and reopen the road as soon as possible.
We're hoping they'll get it fixed because it's going to add about 30 minutes to go around.
This road is very busy in the morning because it connects all of the houses down that way. So I was concerned that it was happening over here. I was like, how are we supposed to get out from here?
And you can see all the fencing that they've put up. They really don't want anyone coming anywhere near this depression. The county says about 1,400 cars do drive this road every single day. So that gives you an idea of what the drive will be like for work or for school tomorrow. They're recommending Empire Mascot Road as the detour. I'm live in Lake County. Catherine Silver, News 6.
Yeah, a lot more cars go down that road than you would expect from just looking at it. Catherine, thank you. It's not the first time Lake County has dealt with a road collapse. In fact, it's not the second time or even the third time. This has happened several times in the past few years. Just recently, historic rainfall in October washed out part of Donnelly Street and Wolf Branch Road. We will follow this latest road collapse closely as we have the others. To find our past coverage right now, you can go to clickorlando.com. Just type washout, 2 words, into the search engine there.
A live look now over I-95. This is in Brevard County tonight, where all lanes northbound and southbound are back open. This was not the case earlier today, but things have cleared up nicely out there. Before, this was a wall of smoke you could see, but right now, this is right between the St. John's Heritage Parkway and Malabar Road. Smoke from a large brush fire was blanketing this area for most of the day, making it just downright dangerous to drive through because visibility was so poor in the area. There it is. All the lanes reopened about an hour or so ago. This is the second day in a row a brush fire in this area has shut down this part of I-95, and you can see why it was shut down. It is just dangerous work out there when those roads are blocked like that. Again, the road, though, is now back open.
New at 6, the former Flagler County paramedic who sexually assaulted a patient in the back of an ambulance will spend the next 10 years in prison. James Melody was found guilty of sexual battery in December for the incident. It happened back in 2021. He was sentenced today. Investigators say the victim was unconscious at the time. After his decade in prison, Melody will serve 5 years of probation and will have to register as a sex offender.
Another major milestone toward a permanent Pulse memorial to honor the victims of the 2016 mass shooting. A little more than a month after the city removed what they described as artifacts from inside the building, a fence is set to go up around the site, marking the start of construction there. Your Orange County community correspondent Tylisa Hampton was at the site today.
Well, obviously, there is no fence yet. However, earlier we saw a large group of people scouting around this area, even going inside what appeared to be construction maps and a little bit of tools, appearing to map out where this fence could go. And obviously, with this change, it brought out people to pay their respects. What brought you out here?
We have people that I know that work with us, and they were here too.
10 years after the deadly mass shooting at Pulse nightclub that killed 49 people, the site has been wrapped with heartbreaking pictures, flags, and memories for many. Emotionally, when you do look at it, how do you feel?
I feel good to see it because I know it's something to remember.
But like the posters that were once hung here, a change is on the horizon. The city of Orlando is preparing to install construction fencing for a permanent memorial, as we saw a large group, some getting out of a construction truck, walk around the site.
It's not going to look the same until they finish it then.
Before this fence goes up around Pulse nightclub, really marking the start of construction for this permanent memorial, you'll notice these empty spaces right here. These were where handmade posters were made for some of those victims. We saw someone come by, take those down. Others came by, taking a look at this before it changes. Are you anxious about how it's going to look next?
Well, I would rather it stay like this.
With demolition set to start in mid-March, several hope this sacred ground will be honored correctly.
If they're going to break it down and have something that people come and see, that's perfect. Like right now, I come a lot of times to come and see it.
And again, we know that demolition is scheduled to begin sometime in mid-March. And as for early March, we also know that the city of Orlando will be holding a meeting to the public to inform them on some of those construction details. We'll make sure to keep you updated on that. Reporting in Orange County, I'm News 6's Tylisa Hampton. Back to you.
Tylisa, thank you. Well, it's official. Floridians will not be voting on recreational marijuana in November. The proposed amendment to legalize it for adults 21 and over failed to get enough signatures to get it on the ballot this year, according to the Division of Elections website. The political committee behind the measure, Smart and Safe Florida, submitted around 783,000 signatures. That's short of the 880,000 needed by law by February 1st. Florida Attorney General James Othmeyer has been the face of the crackdown on the petition gathering process. He spoke about it today.
I know that, hundreds of thousands, were being verified as false signatures. People were calling in saying, that's not my signature, I didn't submit it. We understand that, your right to vote is sacred. And when other people cheat and steal and mislead voters, it hurts every citizen in that right.
Smart and Safe Florida sent us a statement that calls the state's declaration premature. It goes on to say, quote, "We submitted over 1.4 million signatures and believe when they're all counted, we will have more than enough to make the ballot." You'll remember Floridians voted on this measure back in 2024, and even though more than 56% of voters approved it, it did not pass, didn't meet that 60% threshold mandated by law.
We are monitoring a critical test of NASA's massive moon rocket as we take a live look now at Kennedy Space Center. The agency targeting 9 o'clock tonight for a simulated launch of its Space Launch System. The rocket is set to send 4 Artemis 2 astronauts on a 10-day journey around the moon.
And if today's rehearsal is successful, it could set the stage for a Super Bowl Sunday liftoff. NASA says today's test will put the launch team through a full range of operations, including loading liquid propellant into the rocket's tanks, doing a launch countdown, demonstrating the ability to recycle the countdown clock, and draining the tanks to practice scrub procedures. Right now, the 4 astronauts, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen, are in quarantine at Johnson Space Center in Houston. They will fly to Florida later this week. There are only a few dates left in February for that launch period. If the rocket isn't off the ground between February 8th and 11th, the flight will slip into the next launch period, which begins in early March.
Well, a former school principal accused of throwing an out-of-control house party at her Cocoa Beach home will spend the next 2 years on probation. Roosevelt Elementary School's former principal, Elizabeth Hilbradigan, learned her sentence today, more than a year after the party. The state dropped the most serious charge against her, which was child neglect. Former Roosevelt Elementary teacher Carly Anderson, who was also at the party, was sentenced to a year of probation last year. Well, 5 months after a man was found unresponsive on a roller coaster at Epic Universe, we're getting a look into the text messages between the state employees who responded, what these conversations are revealing about the situation.
Good evening tonight. Troubling new developments in the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother. What the sheriff told CBS News just moments ago about her disappearance. It's being investigated as a crime. That's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health.
We're back at 6 with exclusive new details about a roller coaster death investigation at Universal Orlando.
News 6 has obtained text messages between state amusement park inspectors who responded to the Stardust Racers roller coaster last summer. Investigator Mike DeForest reveals what they discussed behind the scenes.
As I first reported, when state amusement ride inspectors descended on Epic Universe here after a man's death, they did not write any reports detailing their findings. But I discovered they did send each other text messages, in some cases on their personal devices. Here in Florida, those text messages are public records, so I requested them.
Well, it was called in as a head laceration.
About 90 minutes after Kevin Rodriguez Zavala was found unresponsive on a Universal Orlando roller coaster in September, an employee of the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services sent a text message to State Amusement Ride Inspector Mark Gonzalez. FYI, death called in on Stardust Racer. Appears to be a cardiac episode. Could be one hell of a day tomorrow. Okay, I volunteer to go out there if needed, replied Gonzalez. Under Florida law, large theme park operators like Universal and Disney are exempt from state oversight, something Gonzalez's boss seemed to acknowledge. I'm not sure if the Capitol will want someone out there, not something we normally do. But this is the first for this commissioner, so no idea what his intentions will be.
Where a person is injured should not determine how the state responds.
A spokesperson for Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson tells me Universal voluntarily invited the state to observe testing, and if the company had not, Simpson's office says it would have asked. In this text, a Universal employee tells Gonzalez, "Hey, Mark, if you'd like to meet us over at Stardust tomorrow at 10 a.m., that's when we will get started with our third party." Text messages obtained by News 6 do not detail exactly what state inspectors did at Universal, but 2 days after the roller coaster rider's death, Gonzalez told his boss their data review was all within parameters.
He was right up in the front seats.
Attorney Benjamin Crump incorrectly told the public that Rodriguez Zavala and his girlfriend rode in the front. Listening to the press conference, was he in the front seat? A state supervisor asked. Front seat of the fifth carrier, replied Gonzalez. He is wrong. He is obviously talking without having seen the video or spoken with the girlfriend. Rodriguez Zavala was born with spinal atrophy and used a wheelchair. Law enforcement later determined his legs were broken, which likely allowed Rodriguez Zavala to slip out of the roller coaster's lap restraint and fatally strike his head. Universal Orlando concluded that the Stardust Racers roller coaster functioned as intended. Although not detailed in text messages, state ride inspectors concurred with Universal's findings. Mike DeForest, News 6.
Time now to turn to your weather. Usually after a real heavy cold snap like this, an 80 will be right around the corner.
Nope.
It's not the case,
No.
Jonathan Kegas.
Super unusual, for sure. Now, we are going to warm things up a little bit, but we're not going to get back to above average until maybe the latter stages of the month. It's going to be that wild. Temperature change, though, over the past 24 hours. It's been a positive thing if you don't like the chill. About 12 degrees warmer than this time yesterday in Leesburg, about 10 degrees warmer for us in Sanford. So we're heading in the right direction, but another cold night coming tonight. Here's a live look outside downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam. We have air temperatures back to around 50 under that mainly clear sky. The one positive, though, we're looking for the positives, is the breeze has also backed off significantly, but that's also going to be one of the reasons why temperatures do plummet tonight. Hanging around 50 in Orlando right now. Again, we're at 52 degrees in the Villages, Cocoa Beach. Good evening. We are at 53. We're at 47 already in Daytona, back to the upper 40s as well in Palm Coast. Now, over the next several hours, again, temperature is going to dive back to around 40 by 9, back to the mid-30s by 3 o'clock, and then hanging around the freezing mark by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. So while we are going to be a couple degrees, dare I say, warmer than where we've been, it's still going to be really cold again tomorrow. We're at 35 in Kissimmee, the Villages. We're going to wake up to 31. We're back to the upper 20s in Ocala and into Denellen. Now here's a look at your afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
We're back to the low to mid 60s. Rain chances back to 0%. That still puts us about 10 degrees below where we should be. but it is going to feel amazing outside compared to where we've been. Again, the widespread frost and freeze still with us again for one more night, at least over the next 24 hours. By midweek, the 70s do return, but we're still going to be a couple of notches below where we should be for this time of the year. By Thursday, though, another cold front comes through, and that's going to deliver us another round of cold as we get in towards the latter stages of this work week. Here is the front again, slicing back through. Rain chances try to increase and then kind of fizzle out as they push through central Florida. But what this will do, there'll still be rain chances around. The bigger deal, though, is the extra round of cold that comes through that will not be as intense as what we just dealt with. So here's the little roller coaster ride we go back on. Back to the lower 70s by Wednesday, lots of sunshine. So there's our nice big day after a start in the 30s. Our next cold front comes through on Thursday. Rain chances go up in the morning to about 30%. We'll hang around 60 degrees for highs. And then another chilly start on Friday. Again, not as cold as what we just came out of, but still most of us will be in the 30s on Friday morning. Weekend not looking bad, not above normal, but we'll take that for sure. Low to mid 70s, lots of sunshine. Temperatures in the 40s.
We will take it. All right,
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Ryan's here now with sports.
Former UCF coach is calling it quits.
Yeah, the Gus Bus has made its final stop, guys. After 35 years of coaching, coming up, thoughts from Gus Malzahn and UCF Athletic Director Terry Mahajer on today's news. Speaking of UCF, the men's basketball team inching closer to the top 25. They are fourth in the receiving votes category. The Knights, though, face a daunting test Wednesday at Houston. After 35 years on the road, the Gus Bus is heading to the garage for good. Former UCF football coach Gus Malzahn announced today that he is retiring. Malzahn released a statement thanking his family and administrators for their support over the years. The statement also read in part, quote, "I would like to thank all my former players. It's been the joy of a lifetime to coach you. I'm proud of the many accomplishments and wins we had on the field, but what has brought me the most joy is seeing the husbands and fathers so many of you have become. Always remember to use your influence in a positive way, end quote. Malzahn racked up a record of 105-62 in his 13 seasons as a college head coach, a run that began at Arkansas State back in 2012. Gus went 28-24 in his 4 seasons at UCF, leading the Knights in their first 2 years in the Big 12, but he resigned his position following a 4-8 record after 2024. He went a combined 5-13 in UCF's 2 years in the Big 12. All right, athletic director Terry Mahajer offered his thoughts on Malzahn. They include, quote, a true pioneer, his innovative offensive philosophy and high-tempo concepts changed the way the game is played and have since been widely adopted across the sport. We appreciate his leadership in guiding UCF through a pivotal period during our transition to the Big 12. After leaving UCF, Malzahn put his coordinator visor back on, running the offense from Mike Norvell at Florida State in 2025. The Noles put on a show in a season-opening win over top 10 Alabama last August, but FSU as a team struggled against Power 4 competition and finished 5-7 overall. The Noles offense, though, averaged 33 points a game last season, good for 22nd in the nation. Now, Tim Harris will be FSU's new offensive coordinator, but head coach Mike Norvell will reportedly call the plays in 2026. In a statement, Norvell thanked Malzahn and said he did a wonderful job coordinating the offense in 2025. Well, as Gus knows all too well, life in the Big 12 can be rough. The UCF men's basketball team, 17-4 on the season, will head to 8th-ranked Houston on Wednesday. UCF still knocking on the door of the top 25. The Knights are 4th in the receiving votes category, despite that impressive overall mark. And despite knocking off then 11th-ranked Texas Tech 88-80 Saturday at Addition Financial Arena. The Knights are currently 6th in the Big 12 standings at 6-3. And once again, they'll be at number 8 Houston on Wednesday night. The Orlando Magic turned their attention to a road showdown with league-best Oklahoma City tomorrow night. A little suggestion, guys, a better start could go a long way to earning a huge victory.
Hayes gave it to Tristan, a fumble victory. Cornet, nice outlet to Fox.
Yeah, Orlando did not have first quarter urgency last night in San Antonio against the Spurs team that was road weary from travel issues. The Magic rebounded with a strong second quarter, but the wheels came off in the third in San Antonio's 112-103 victory last night. Consistency continues to be a problem for this team.
Wembanyama's kind of a problem,
he's
too.
He's a problem for a lot of teams.
Yeah, he is. Jonathan, give us one more look at that one.
Yeah, cold's been a problem for us. We're going to try to break out of it a little bit tomorrow. Still one cold night coming. We're back to the 60s. Still chilly Wednesday morning, but you see that 73 there. A little bit of a dip coming before we warm things up for the weekend.
All right, thank you.
More news coming up at 9 on clickorlando.com and the News 6 Plus streaming app.
Until then, have a good night. Look at that.
Nice.
Wow.